9 o'clock, please join us for a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Brad is on the way up. Computer is not giving us any opportunity to get to the internet, so he is on the way.
All right. First order of business is to approve the minutes as written.
I'll make the motion.
Tim's moved.
I'll second it.
Norm second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. That's the end of the book. Do we need to wait on Brad for the 905?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll wait on Brad for the 905 CASA, Representative Haley Hershaw. Hershaw, where's that from?
Harshaw.
Harshaw.
Married into the name.
Oh, okay.
So.
There's some of them over around Lewisburg.
I'm not sure. Most of them are in Ottawa.
Ottawa.
So.
It's close.
Yes.
Is Wade here today? Probably.
He may be running late.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
You could plug in this.
Yes. Yes.
That one doesn't have all that. Yeah. Brad said the TV was ready, so you're just gonna throw that out there. All you gotta do is open the computer up and turn it on, is all he said.
With Lawrence Kings.
No. Definitely not.
That's John Redmond.
That's Suez Canal.
Well, there's Lawrence Kansas here to do it. That's more like rocks in the water. Are you, can you clear down in the corner?
No, it'll be, number 2.
Where's that? Up the top.
First, yeah, up top. Come in, make a right, put 1 and 2. Mom down, be on 1. Be on 2.
It is, okay.
Hang in there, Brad, you still got 2 minutes.
Yeah, plenty of time, no pressure.
for sure.
Step out real quick. While we're waiting on that. Is there any way you can go over before the camper out? The door guys are there. Okay, you gotta unplug it, you're gonna have to plug it back in. So you have to get you have to run an extension cord, to it. Plug it back in. So just make sure you latch the receiver in. Good. Alright, so they're waiting. Thanks, Morning. Morning.
Do Eric, and then go back to them.
Eric, how long you just be a short bit?
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and hit you real quick. We'll flip-flop a little bit.
Alright.
City of Lebo Mayor, Eric Ferguson, lane improvements.
Yep.
You've got front and center, sir.
Alrighty, so like I said, yep, my name's Eric Ferguson, I'm the mayor of Lebo. So we're looking for assistance in removal of trailers in our trailer park. The city has acquired that from the landowner and we're cleaning that up. We're cleaning a lot of properties up. But we're wondering if we could get assistance financially with removal of those. And we're still gonna need, the city's still gonna have to cover water meters, gas meters, electric, getting all that removed from all 9 trailers that are down there at the park. But we're at a total cost for removal of those of $31,500 outside of all the other stuff the city's gonna have to get removed. That's just getting the trailers removed and the lots cleaned up, all the trash off of them.
Where are the trailers going?
We actually had a individual bid for it. He's actually gonna hook to those, remove them to another property outside of town, and they're gonna completely tear them down and recycle what they can recycle off of them. So they will be completely removed from the property.
Is that what we waived the landfill fees here a week ago?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's what we waived landfill fees
Yeah.
a week ago or 2 weeks ago or.
A week ago.
That's a whole different story than what we were,
Yeah.
than what I anticipated, because I anticipated the city was gonna do it, and I had no problem waiving landfill fees for the city, but if someone is buying them and salvaging them, and then want to take the rest of the landfill, I'm not sure that's what our practice has been. It's a whole new ballgame there.
Well,
And for me, that's my understanding of what they're doing to them. We just had them bid for removal of them, but that is my understanding of what I.
so the city's still responsible for, would still be responsible for the landfill fees, or they would tack that on to the actual price of
Correct.
the removal.
Of the removal.
So let me just try to grasp what,
Nope.
31,500 is what
It's just
they're charging to get everything out of there.
off that
Off the property.
property. All the trash that's in their structures and the trailers.
And the trailers are still the city's property. to my knowledge,
Yes.
right? And so, once they're tore down, all the trash that is going to be from that is going to be taken to the landfill fee under the city of Lebo.
Yep, because we
Correct.
own,
Okay.
we own the trailers.
So it's still the same.
Until they're completely destroyed, we have the titles to every single trailer.
It's still the city's trailers. And and they'll be showing up at the landfill under the city of Lebo.
And that's the action we took last week.
Yes.
You mentioned moving to the water meters, or is there gonna?
The hope with this is to have homes or duplexes put back in there, not trailers. And so we will have to remove several water meters, cap those off. We'll have to cap off sewer lines because it's an old trailer park. It no longer is licensed as a trailer park. But we'll have to cap sewer lines, gas lines, water lines, have electric meters removed. That's all expenses outside of the $31,500.
Just south of the tracks,
Yes.
south and east.
Yeah.
Was there 2 or 3 acres involved, Eric, or 4 or 5 acres?
It's a half a block.
Half a block, which
Yeah,
would be,
east half of that block right there.
so it'd be probably an acre plus.
Yeah, acre, under 2, I would say.
Yeah, it'd be under, I know in Leroy, a full city block's 2 acres, so approximately 90,000.
Well, we've helped other communities with additional infrastructure, but, so how much are you thinking? What do you want? Don't say all of it, because that's not gonna happen.
Whatever the county can assist with. I mean, anything will help so we can knock that cost down.
Is the city going to sell the property for housing development and recover part of that 31?
Well, I don't know if we'll recover that with the cost of, we bought the property, so I don't know where that'll land at total, but the hope is to put that up for bid, to buy, to put homes, actual permanent structures on, not trailers, onto that property. The city is not gonna keep it, it's gonna be, it will be sold. We are wanting to improve housing and add housing into the city.
But it sounds like you're moving in the right direction, so.
How much can the city afford to do?
I don't know, wasn't in our budget for this year.
Yeah,
So-
we give you infrastructure money. but-
Yep, I understand that.
Usually-
We have another home that we will be talking about tonight. It was supposed to already have been removed. We've had other properties that the landowners have removed those properties. I think they came to the county to get approval for removal of those for the landfill fees too. But we have another one we're gonna be discussing tonight. It was supposed to have already been removed by the landowner. They told us it would be done by tonight, and it is still standing. So we're gonna have that expense to add to our budget, but any assistance.
How many homes do
we
you
can
think
get.
you'll get put in back in there?
I think what I was understanding, if you put housing back in there, we're looking at 3 houses. If you go duplexes due to the easement offsets and stuff, you might be able to get 4, because it's a different style for the easements, the setbacks and everything on the corners, and there's a ditchway that goes through there.
Putting houses in, that's gonna be more money back on the tax rolls
Yep.
for the city and the county, so,
Exactly.
I don't know, 2/3? Probably, or 20,000,
Anything.
That's what
15,000?
I was thinking,
15,
20,000.
whatever.
20,000, anything will help, so.
Would that come out of community improvement reserve?
Community improvement.
Just community improvement, not reserve.
Oh, just community.
Well, it would be the
Would-
reserve,
reserve,
unless
it
you
would
want to
be.
use the general fund, community improvement.
Yeah, but I don't know what we got in general, what's in the general?
Oh, I don't have that, what we see.
We're getting close to the end of the year.
There's probably still $1 million in there. in the
Yeah, I'd say
general.
just take it out of the general,
Community improvement.
save the community, the reserve, in case we need it. I'm okay with 20 out of the general.
I'll move to reimburse the city of Lebo $20,000 out of the general community improvement fund for helping with the, cleanup of the trailer court, old existing trailer court.
All second.
Jesse's moved, Tim seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, how are we gonna handle this? Usually, like when we do community, centers and stuff like that, we pay as the bills come in. We don't just give them a lump sum. How are we gonna do it on this? Any ideas?
Well, they've got a bid of 31.5 to pull everything out.
That's what it's gonna cost just to pull everything out?
Yep.
So, I mean, I guess they could send that contract down to us and we could write them a check for $20,000, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're gonna.
So, if these are still the city's trailers, when they, recycle them, is the city gonna get the money for the recycling?
Brian, nope, we're trying to just clean it up. That's our hope, is to clean it up,
So
get it out there.
the company that bid the 31.5, they're also gonna get income from the sale of trailers.
How many trailers was there, 10 trailers?
9.
9 trailers?
9 foot.
So I'm just trying to figure out how, if they're, these people are cleaning it up and they get the trailers, right? How is it gonna be that the city is putting them in the landfill? Because once the person takes them, that becomes the individuals, not the cities anymore.
Well, I mean, the titles are not over into the bidder's name of the trailers. The titles are still in the city.
Still in the city.
Still the city.
They're just cleaning them off the lot. They've got another spot they can put it, and then they're cleaning them up.
Basically, it's just like the church over here. Bid it with pulling product out and selling it and making profit off of it, or bid it, reflect your bid into the recycling side, basically, of it. The selling of the glass windows or the painted windows and stuff like that.
Okay, I'm done questioning.
We just have to have a bill direct from,
Just the bid that was
The bid
presented to the
that we
city of
got.
Lebo.
Yep.
after the job is completed, or is it a work in process? Where they're gonna present a bill to the Lebo
Once
every
it-
2
once-
weeks or every 3 weeks?
No,
That's a bid.
once
You're
it,
not
once
paying
it,
anything till the
till
job's
it's
totally
job,
complete.
till it's clean.
Totally accepted.
Yep.
So I guess at that point, then you can contact the clerk's office and they will give you the 20,000 to put into the payment. The people will have to understand you can get the.
Yep, it'll be at the end of the project.
And just let me know.
Okay, it's been moved by Jesse, seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, now we're ready for CASA.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your patience. My name is Haley Harshaw. I'm the Executive Director for CASA of the 4th Judicial District, CASA standing for Court Appointed Special Advocates. What our program does is we train, recruit, screen volunteers from the community to serve in child in need of care cases, to advocate for best interest practices or recommendations for the child going through foster care. Our goal through that is to achieve permanency as promptly as we can, because we've realized that's what's the best interest of the child. And since 2002, when CASA was started, we've been involved in over 1,500 cases in the district. Of course, my goal as the new director starting in May is I want to increase that number. I want to increase the amount of children that we serve. But I also want to come to you today and thank you for the contributions that you've made to our program and showcase and update you with what is going on with our program. And my hope is that since you're putting in the investment for this program, that you are constantly kept aware of how we're doing and the children that you are changing the lives of. So part of your contribution has helped us to pay for a volunteer coordinator, Ms. Aspen Hermrich, who is here with me today. She recently started. Already her primary goal is to help with the recruitment of volunteers and increase those numbers so we can increase the numbers of kids that we serve. We currently have 3 recruits from when I started going through the volunteer training, so that is 6 additional children that we can serve. Again, I want that number to grow. I don't think that that's touching base with the 25 plus kids who are just in out-of-home placements alone in Coffee County. Something else that your contribution has done for us is it has allowed us to create our own website. Our program created this, no third parties. We purchased everything and built this ourselves. So on this website, this is just what our homepage looks like. Here you have our mission and our vision, what we do. The need that CASA has is also on this page. Aspen, can you scroll down for me? A little bit about our impact, the volunteers that we need, the kids in foster care. That's just in our district alone. So that's what our needs looks like. A little short video that we won't play today, but if you're interested, you can go to the website forcasa.org to see it. So that's just what our homepage looks like, including you as a supporter. There's a page you can go to volunteer for those in the community who are interested. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to get involved with our program, and that means streamlining how they can put their applications in or how they can be involved and donate, or to see all of the options that we have available. So if you click our online application, that will take you to a form, and that form goes directly to our program email, so we can get in touch with volunteers directly, as opposed to if you were a volunteer before, you'd have to go to the Kansas CASA page, you'd have to go directly to our page, and just multiple steps that now we've been able to streamline. Again, this is with contribution and support from Coffee County, so we're appreciative of that. And then always there's an option for the volunteers to be able to contact us at the top there, just a little form that gives us their information and how they can send us a message. So are there any questions about the website or the overview of that?
So how many kids in Coffee County are you helping, you said?
So currently we have 1 child who's on a wait list right now because we are waiting for more volunteers from the area. We are waiting to build that capacity. We were without a director from November of 2020 until I started here in May. Of course, with COVID as well, that just caused some issues with the volunteer numbers. So we're actively working on recruitment, being involved in community events throughout the county, things like that, to build that capacity up so we can serve more kids. There are 25 children in out-of-home placements, which is my main concern right now, because they aren't in-home receiving in-home services. They're in placements across the state that take priority. So there's 25 children right now approximately that are eligible for CASA services that we can't serve because we don't have that volunteer capacity.
How long is the stay on average with
For a child in care, 23 months is the average for the state of Kansas.
Your district includes Coffee, Anderson, Franklin, Osage?
Yes, sir.
And where?
Just those 4
Just those
counties.
4?
Yes. So.
You mentioned 1,500. Where's the 1,500 come from?
That's from all 4 counties, Anderson, Coffee, Osage, from 2002 that we have been involved in.
Individual, 15
Children,
individuals?
Yes,
or
sir.
if you work with them throughout a 12-month period, that counts for 12?
No,
I have
it's
trouble
just
coming up with
individual.
1,500.
Yeah, it's just individual children from the inception of the program that CASA volunteers have been involved in and helped through the end of their case.
1,500 individuals.
Yes.
That's a huge number
That's big,
in a 4 or 5 4-county area.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm having trouble getting my hands around 1,500. Different kids, different.
Yes. Well, right now, just in this year alone, there's 110. Those fluctuate. They go up and down just with how laws are made, like that enter into care.
what is the volunteer's responsibility? Can you describe that?
So that's a wonderful question. I'm excited to answer that for you. So volunteers are first screened. Once they put their application into us, they also have to have 3 references. So we complete background screenings with them through the KBI of fingerprint checking, criminal checks, DCF registry checks to make sure that they are not on the list for abuse and neglect, right? So once they've gone through all of that background screening, we check the references because we're not going to waste our time, right? Once they go through that process, we do a personal interview with them. If they pass through the personal interview, then we look at training options, which across the state now, those training options look a little different. They used to be just in person, a total of 8 weeks that you had to attend in person for 2 hours a week. Well, now that's changed, and partly that's a positive thing from COVID is it's more flexible for volunteers now, is that it's 6 weeks of 2 hours online training, face-to-face on Zoom, with additional online homework that's flexible to the volunteer's time. So once they complete that training, then we do a ceremonial kind of oath with the judge who certifies and allows them to become a CASA volunteer. So the responsibilities after that, after they're assigned a case, I would say the requirement is about 2 hours a week. So you write reports, you attend the court hearings, you meet with the child at least once a month. And again, I would say that's about 2 hours a week.
How do you interchange with the fourth judicial system with Dustin and, Stephanie?
So community
Are you
corrections,
interchanging with them any at all?
we are not. So that is, I actually used to work for community corrections prior to this role. That's a separate criminal side of the judicial system. We are child in need of care, which is the juvenile division.
So no inter.
There could be a child who is duly adjudicated, or a juvenile offender and a child in need of care. We don't have any currently that are on our wait list that are like that, but that's possible. But we don't tend to work directly with community corrections. We're a separate entity. Yeah, great question.
It's probably not a fair question. Do you have very many failures when you go through these people? Or do you
When
have
you
very
go
many
through CASAs?
when you get your volunteers, do you have very many that do it and then decide it's not for them?
So, life is continuously changing. We've had volunteers in the past, from my understanding, again, I've been here since May, but from those volunteers in the past, you know, most of our demographic is the older demographic, so if family members pass or if there's illness or things like that and they're no longer able to volunteer, that can happen. But I say that there was a consistent volunteer group during that time prior to COVID, of course.
So the way they get involved in a case, either the court makes the appointment or the attorneys feel that there's something involved in the case that you need an independent, neutral point of view. So DCF contracts out case management in this area, it's TFI. And sometimes TFI, there ends up being an issue from the parent's perspective or from the court's perspective or whatever it is. They want to bring someone in to be an independent set of eyes. The CASA volunteer goes out and they have the authority to meet with the parents, to meet with the kids, to meet with whoever's involved. They provide a report that can either be the same as or different than what TFI would recommend. And then they're a vital piece of the permanency determination, and they need to be up and running and moving in the 4th Judicial District. So whatever Coffee County can do, my recommendation would be that you jump on board. They need assistance. I helped with the program in the 31st down in Allen County, and they had a thriving program. So if you talk to Amy Daniels, who's down there, she's their director. It's a very important program. Whatever Coffee County needs to do to get on board with more support, I highly recommend that.
And I'd like to add to Wade's point real quick, is that TFI, the foster care contractor, their caseworkers have a lot of turnover, and that's no fault to their own, it's just how things have been going. They also have extremely high caseloads, whereas my volunteers, they can only take 2 children max. So each child that we're involved with, we are having consistency and putting an investment in those children where they may not have an adult who's coming in to step in with them in that space regardless. And my goal is that I want us to have the best CASA program in the state of Kansas, that other programs look to us and ask us questions of how we do things so that we can be an influence and be progressive in helping in child abuse and neglect.
So these kids, do they stay in the home, in their home, or do they go to the volunteers' home, or?
So that is a determination. They never go into the volunteers' home. They're always placed either with a foster care home or a placement determined by the foster care system. There's group homes across the state. I might have a child whose case is in Coffee County, but he's placed maybe in Garden City because that's the next place that's available for him. So they never go into the volunteers' homes. They're not foster parents. They're just coming into the space where the child is at and trying to figure out the best interest for them.
How many hours average in a month for a volunteer?
Well, it's about that 2 hours a week, so give or take maybe 10 to 15, I would say. Again, it's also getting involved with like the school system to see how they're doing. Do they have IEPs that we need to follow? Getting in touch with any mental health therapists to make sure those are being followed. So it's not even necessarily just going in and meeting with the child. It's understanding and investigating all aspects of the child's life so we can have them on the best track. And again, your investment is into the child. When you invest in the program, you invest in the child, who therefore invests in your community going forward.
Do the volunteers have any say-so over the child, where they happen to be, if the volunteers don't feel that that's appropriate, that they
Yes.
can move them out, or?
So they can't move them themselves, but they can put recommendations to the court saying that they believe, based on these facts, again, we're fact finders, we're not emotion driven, we're facts driven, to have best interest for these children. And in those recommendations say, because of this, I think that we should look at other placement options. So, as I stated before, there's still a need for those volunteers, just a need to build that capacity. And I think what I am asking of the commissioners is just for help with exposure. Let others know in your community what our program is about so we can build that capacity and build the amount of children that we're serving. It may not be that advocacy is your role. We also have clerical duties in our office, filing, things like that can be help if volunteers want to help in that way. Just be ambassadors for the program, going out to like recruitment events and things with us to share why they support the program. And we also have board members that we're needing too as well. And all of those applications are the same on our website for volunteers to get involved with.
Where's your district office?
So our office is actually located in Ottawa in the old courthouse on the second floor of that building.
Appreciate your update. Absolutely appreciate it.
Yes, and like I said, my goal
what
is...
you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. My goal is to continuously update you because if you're investing into our program, I believe you deserve to know what's going on with it, correct? So again, and also if you have any questions about our program or how we're doing, maybe before I'm able to come before the commissioners, I would love to answer those for you as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Thank you very
time.
much.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
We'll have to stick to a pretty tight schedule with
Okay.
these guys, because they're,
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
in service. We didn't want to talk to you anyway.
Well, at least it's before we buy something.
That should be number one.
No, 818.
818-306-2490.
90.
306.
That's what you get for getting.
Darn glasses.
Oops, sorry.
Thank you for calling Randy Hudson. Your call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes. Please hold while I try to connect you.
Try. We got a schedule, they're gonna try to connect us.
Keyword is try.
Randy Hudson.
Hey Randy, this is Angie Kirkton with Coffee County here with the Board of County Commissioners.
Hey Angie, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry, we're a little behind here, so we're ready to go.
That's okay. So I'm assuming you can see my screen. It says enter your mobile PIN in the middle.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to do the first part of the demonstration on my Android phone. But you download the app to any smart device. Android, iOS, doesn't matter. Tablet, phone, doesn't matter. It's a PIN-based solution versus device-based. So what that means is guys can clock in and out from any smart device that has the app on it. And I know you have a number of different groups of people who will be using it. They'll all be using it slightly differently. So it's designed to be very flexible to meet your specific needs. The one thing to keep in mind is we're going through this. You guys have the ability to turn on the features you like, turn off the features you don't, and change your mind tomorrow. So as we're going through this, if you have any questions, please interrupt me, and we'll address those questions so you're not trying to remember everything to the end of the presentation. So wherever your guys start their day, let's start with, say, the people who are working on bridges. Each guy has their own unique 4-digit PIN. You see at the top it recognizes them by name, go button, stop button. To start their day, all they do is hit go. It takes a GPS ping of where they're standing and defaults to the job that they're standing on that you put into the system. So you see at the top of the page, I'm at the Emerson Station job. The green icon to the right means I'm within the geo boundaries that you set for that job. So to attribute my time there, all I do is tap it. The next screen is a list of cost codes or tasks. Basically, what are they doing? Now, you're going to put in your specific list. You can be very broad-based or precise. This is for your job costing and profitability. If you don't want to use this feature, you just turn it off. So if you're using the feature, all the employees select the task. Just say it's electrical work. And then it takes a face front photo. So in about 3 seconds, John Smith clocked in at the job site at 7:14. He's doing electrical work, and here's his picture to prove that it's him. There's no buddy punching. If he's changing tasks at any time, all he does is hit go again because he's not stopping work. Still working on the Emerson Station project, but now I'm doing something different. Let's just say it's sheet metal, and it takes a picture. So each time they clock in, it takes a GPS ping to verify where they are, and the face front to verify who they are. Now, if they're working multiple jobs in a day, let's assume he's now done with the first job, all he does, he hits go, still at Emerson Station, but now my task at the bottom is travel, and it takes the picture. So we just stopped the clock on exactly how much time he spent at the first job. We're going to hold him accountable for travel time because from point A to point B should be a 20-minute drive in traffic. Why did it take you guys 2 hours? Because when they arrive at the next job, all they do is hit go again. Now, I haven't moved, so I'm still at the Emerson Station job, but for your guys, it'd be the new job at the top. They select the task, and it takes the picture. So throughout the day, they just keep hitting go, 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 go. They're only going to hit stop twice a day, once at their lunch or meal break, once at the end of the day. They hit stop. It takes a GPS ping to verify they're still on site. It takes the face front photo. It can also ask 2 compliance questions. 1, were you injured at work today? Yes or no? 2, did you take all your meals and breaks? Yes or no? And then with their fingertip, they're asked for a signature on the screen. We do this so 2 months or 2 years from now, if anybody ever came back and said, hey, I was injured on the job on the 12th of September, you can go back into the system and say, well, here on the 12th, you said you were not injured, here's your signature, and here's your photograph to prove it. So it acts as protection for the company. Now, as an example, your police officers probably would use it differently. a dummy. So that would be the location they're at, and all they would do is clock in, and it takes the picture. So again, your different groups would be using it differently, and it's designed to be very flexible. Now, for individuals clocking in and out, that's it. That's all they have to remember. Clock in, location, cost code, that's it. If you have a foreman or a supervisor, and you give them the ability to clock in entire crews, you can give them that ability. So they can clock in individuals or entire crews. This is Brian's crew. All I have to do is hit go. Oh wait, this guy's not here, this guy's not here, but the rest of the crew is. I've just clocked in the entire crew. Now, there are a couple of features we have for this. One is called Team View. Let me just update this. All right, so this is a roster of all the guys who are clocked in and the times that they clocked in. If you want to see where anybody is, you just tap the name. Now you know what time John Avia clocked in and what job site he's standing on. We have a history tab, so if you're looking for specific punch information, it's right there. If you want to capture your time, not so much for time and attendance, but for job costing and profitability, where your hours would be attributed to, you would clock in and out like a regular employee. If you have pieces of equipment that you want to track the number of hours used on the piece of equipment for either proactive maintenance or to make sure that information is being captured, it's just part of the login. I hit go, I'm working at Emerson Station, I'm doing, say, demolition work, and on site we have this or we have multiple pieces of equipment. Now, a couple of important features. One is called Field Notes. Field Notes allows anyone with the app on the phone to document something that happens. Something breaks, you need to order materials, there was vandalism. They have the ability to take pictures, do voice-to-text recordings. Voice recordings or text messages that are captured within that location folder. In the comment section, you have up to 4,000 characters. You can take up to 5 photographs per field note, but you're unlimited to the number of field notes you can create. And the field notes feature is really designed to give you deeper insight to what's going on at each location without you physically being there. Another important feature is what we call Site Hub. You're going to have a page like this for each of your locations. This is for the Emerson Station job. This is all the punch information in real time for this specific location. If there are any field notes during this time, they would appear right in here. Below that, it shows you who is currently clocked into this job. The dollar figure at the bottom is what it's costing you per hour based on the hourly wages of the guys who are clocked in. Below that is today's weather and the forecast for the next couple of days. So if weather's an issue, you know what's coming. And God forbid somebody gets injured. But this will show you the nearest urgent care hospital to this specific location. And again, you have a page like this for each of the locations in the system. There's a location button in the upper right. Tap that, tap to the location. Very simple, very quick. Now, if you're out in the field and you need to add an employee, a location, cost code piece of equipment, you can do it right from the mobile device. You don't have to call it back into the office if you don't want to. So if you're sending a couple of guys on a rush job, you can put the information in from the field, and when they get there, they're clocking in and out like they normally do. Now, if you have guys who are more comfortable in Spanish versus English, we have a built-in Spanish language translation. We also have a built-in French language translation. So you set their language preference to one of those languages, and regardless of what device they clock in and out of, it will show up in that language. The guys can also see their time card from the mobile device, broken down by day, by punch, so they're not having to call the office and say, hey, how many hours do I have this weekend? I want to know how much money I've made. The app is what's known as a native app, so if your guys are in an area that has no cell or Wi-Fi connectivity, the app will still function the same. It'll timestamp it, geostamp it with all the accurate information, but instead of uploading the punch in real time, which is the norm when there's connectivity, it will hang on to that information until that device is returned to an area with connectivity. Then it automatically uploads it to the cloud and back to the database, so your employees wouldn't see anything different, do anything different, or know anything different. Any questions on the app itself?
No, but I have a question. Can you log in on this on a computer also?
Yes, I'll show you. I'm going to show you the back end in just a minute, but yes, you have the ability to either put a tablet up on the wall or you can have them log in from their computer. The difference with the computer is it does not take a face front photo and it does not take a GPS ping, but typically that's not a concern.
You know, Randy, we've got the sheriff's department here with 40 or 50 employees. We've got our county road and bridge with 50 employees, and then we got our other 150 employees in the court. Will they have separate codes where they won't have a whole list of codes to work with? Each department will have separate codes?
Correct, so, right, because what you're going to do is by location.
Okay.
Just go back in. Let me go back, time clock. So when I hit go, you know, the original, I showed you Emerson Station. That was a specific list for the Emerson Station. Let's assume that's just a bridge or a building. But then when I hit A Street, let's say that's one of your sheriff stations. All you're going to have as a cost code would be in.
Okay.
So you can personalize that cost code list by location.
Okay. That's what I was asking about.
Can they see their sick and
Just want to make sure.
vacation?
And, you know, here's another example of the Amistosa, and here are all the cost codes that show up. So again, you can personalize by location, and you're unlimited to the number of locations you're going to put in. So if you have multiple sheriff stations, I just use the example of A Street. You know, might have the, you know, Flemington building or this or that or the other. You can put in as many locations and then personalize that cost code list by location.
On this app, can a person see his own vacation and sick time he has left?
Currently, no, that's a feature that's coming in Q1 of 2023.
Thank you.
For them to request PTO, they can create a field note. We also have a feature called mobile comments, which I have not turned on for this demonstration, where they can put it into the system and it would be on their time card. But the PTO tracking is coming Q1 of 2023. Any other questions on the app?
Is that, Randy, is that something that, let's just say that once this, PTO and sick leave, whatever, is up and going, is that something that, say, the office could go in and say, okay, Billy's got 170 hours of this and 60 of this, can you enter that, and then it goes ahead and continue? Is there a format that will continue to add to it and subtract from it?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, we're going to track it. So let's say he earns 3 weeks per year, and it breaks out, and don't ask me to do the math in my head, but let's say it's 10 hours a month. So every month it's automatically going to add the 10 hours to his vacation, his PTO balance.
Okay.
So and then when he takes a day off or a week off, we're going to subtract those hours from that balance.
It will automatically do it when he puts in vacation or whatever?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. I think, this is the one my wife uses, I think, and which I don't think they use it to as full extent as what could be. Most people don't.
No.
I mean, it's
Right,
it's
and
a
what I'm
can-
doing is
it's a
I'm showing
can
you all the
system.
bells and whistles, well, not all of them because we could be here for hours, but we're showing you what the possibilities are. If you don't want to use it now, you turn off that feature. 6 months from now, you decide you want to use it, you turn the feature on, because everything's built in.
I think the road and bridge on job costing is
Would be awesome.
awesome.
It would be
Oh,
awesome.
exactly. And that's what it's for. Same with the equipment tracking for the proactive maintenance. You know, how many hours do we have on this piece of equipment? When do we need to service it?
Time on maintenance side, how long it took to pull it apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. So I'm going to disable the phone for a second. We can always come back to it. And now I'm going to show you where everything lives. Because again, nothing lives on the app. As they're going in and out in real time, it syncs back to a database. So you guys should be able to see something that says 24 employees at 5 locations. Do you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the dashboard for your database. It's for your official business, for your, I always say for your company and your company alone because you're not a company. It's yours. No one else uses it. You have complete control of access of who gets in, what they can see, once they get in. So in a snapshot, it's going to show you how many guys are currently clocked in, how many locations are currently active. This is a drop down of all the locations that you have in the system. It always defaults to the ones where guys are clocked in. So to drill into a location, all you do is click on it. It's going to give you the weather, the forecast, who is clocked in, what cost code they're performing, time and date stamps it. If there are any field notes for today, they would appear right down here. Now to add an employee location cost code piece of equipment is very simple. Location is an example. All you're going to do is give it a name. If you have a job number, ID number, put that in. Address, city, state, zip, and hit save. At that point, we put a GPS pin at that location. Coming out of the box, we default the geo boundary to a 1/4 mile radius around that job site. You as the boss can grow that or shrink that to your specific needs. It's a simple click and drag, or we can change the default setting. But to add a new location in the system is going to take you maybe 8 to 10 seconds to take care of that. Now, I just wanted to show you one thing real quick. Under the location, this is a roster of all your locations. Let's just pick the City Hall job as an example. The view set, the default is to show all cost codes. But again, if you wanted to curtain by cost code, all you're going to do is select cost code. So anytime somebody clocks into City Hall, I only want this one, and this one to show up. So that's how simple it is to control or curtain the cost code view by your different locations. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So under the dashboard, let me just get out of that screen. All right. So we have a scheduling feature. You don't have to use it for everybody. It's a built-in feature. This would be your schedule. Oh, let me interrupt myself. You see up here in the upper left corner, you see clock in and clock out. So if you activate this feature, again, it's built in. And when you clock in, you can clock in and out and attribute your time to a specific job and a specific cost code. So you can do this right from your computer. So I know someone asked that question earlier. All right, back to the scheduling. This would be your schedule based on your login credentials. Up here under schedules, under today's schedule, what it's going to show is people who are clocked in by location, by cost code. All right, so you can go in at any time, see who's clocked in at the different jobs. Somebody's late for a shift, and you set the parameters. Is it 10 minutes? Is it 20? Is it a half hour? And they haven't clocked in. Both the employee and the employee supervisor would get a text or an email saying John Smith is late for his shift, and it populates this cell. If somebody is a no-show, populates here. Somebody clocks in way too early, populates here. To create the schedule is very simple. Under Manage, you're going to select the location from the drop-down. Let's just say the City Hall job, and it's a drag and drop. So if I want Gary Norton here on Wednesday, I want him there at 7 a.m. He's going to be there till 4 p.m. He's going to be there a couple of days because we need to get this job done. He's going to be there daily until Friday, the 16th. And his cost code would be, let's just say cleanup. And I hit save. The different colors you see here represent different cost codes. So if you're using this feature, you have a visual representation to make sure that cost code is covered at that location for that day. You can set this up to 1 year in advance. You can edit it at any time, and the guys can see this from their mobile device. Any questions on scheduling?
Would the employee be able to see that as well as, okay, Bob, my boss, is going to send me to the City Hall on next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Would that be more like planning?
He can see that from his mobile device, yes.
Okay. So it's basically like a dispatch. This is what I'm going to be doing next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So would the supervisor be getting in and doing this, or would this wouldn't be on the payroll clerk, right?
It'd be the supervisor.
It's up to you. Everything is permission-based.
Okay.
So you can determine who has access, who can do editing, who can set people up, and you can change it at any time. So the rank and file employee does not need access into the database, which is what we're in now. But if you want to give managers and people like that access in, you can also limit their view and what they can edit within the database. So you can get very granular on what they can see within this database.
Okay.
And again, you're in control of who has access into it.
Now, what if somebody forgets to clock in?
Okay, so let's look at time cards. So what you see down the left-hand side is a roster of all your employees. We're looking at James Anderson specifically. This is how his day broke down. He started at the office at 5:58. First cost code was travel, which he did till 7:14 when he clocked his time to the Margot Apartments. He did form work till 10:10, took a meal break, clocked back in, clean up till 1:22, tilt up till 2:28 when he clocked out for the day. Each segment of time is captured here, total number of hours here, and each day is broken down in that manner. Now you're unlimited to the number of times you clock in and out. And if you see the green icons like here and here, that means he punched in or out inside the geo boundary of the job site, and that's the face front photo to eliminate, again, any sort of buddy punching. If you see a red icon like this, you hover over it. In this case, it shows that he punched out 0.47 miles outside the geo fence. If you want to see where he was on the punch, you hit the globe icon.
Maybe.
Sorry, my internet is, do not get Spectrum internet. Because it is just atrocious. So I apologize. All right, so let's take a look at this. I'm going to jump ahead because I'm waiting for this to load, and again, this is all on my internet. We have a geo-tracking feature. It's a breadcrumb trail. Drops a breadcrumb every couple of minutes built on an algorithm of movement, so it tracks their movements throughout the day while they're on the clock. When they break for lunch or at the end of the day, we stop tracking for privacy issues. If they're in a vehicle, show the speed that they average between drops, the distance covered. If you hit the play button down here, it's going to give you a ping by ping of their movements. If at any time they deviate from the norm, again, you can drill down to that satellite view to see where they were when that breadcrumb dropped. And this is one of those features you can turn on for this group of guys, turn off for that group of guys, and change your mind tomorrow. So it's designed to be very flexible to meet your specific needs. So this is just, I hate this. I apologize. So getting back to the original question, I'm just going to go back to time cards. If somebody screws up, they forget a punch, they double punch, it flags the system. So you see the red icon here, here, and here. Aaron Jones' example forgot to clock out. So for you as the boss to make the change is simple. You just click on it. If he's clocking out, you check the box, and you punch in a time. If he put in the wrong cost code, you can change that. If he logged his time to the wrong job, you can change that. You can leave comments of any changes you made. There's an audit trail of all changes made within the system. So if you have the permission level, and again, you're in control of who has what permission, you can change any of the information on this page. Now, if you need to add time, somebody forgot to clock in, or you need to create back on the 7th, he forgot to clock in, you can go in and just create time if you have the permission. You can go and create a time card or a time record for this individual.
Will it keep both records, even though you changed it?
It's going to keep, what it's going to keep is what you just changed. But then the audit trail that we have, if there is ever a conversation about that, the audit trail will show all changes made.
All right, thank you.
And again, if you made a change and you made comments here, Joe Smith forgot to clock in, I changed it on, 9/12 to reflect it. Okay. That will show up. That's going to be part of the records.
All right.
We've got about 2 minutes left. What okay. Important stuff do we need to go over?
All right. So the last thing is, with everything we're capturing, you can pull reports based off of cost code, employee, location, or any combination. So if you want to look at location by cost code, you set your date range, and it's going to basically, all the information that we're capturing, you can slice and dice how you need to see it. The location by cost code, the location, there are the cost codes performed, there's the breakdown of the hours, total number of hours. And it does it for each of the jobs in the system. Again, everything is saved in the account for the life of the account. 10 years from now, you can see anything that happened today, including that face front photo, the geo-tracking, all that information. The last thing I'll add is, we've been around 23 years. We started with rugged job clocks, which we still sell today. We developed this mobile app over 13 years ago, so it's battle tested. We're capturing over 2 million punches a day. If you guys have questions, you have all of my contact information. Please feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Randy, our payroll clerk's in here. At the end of the month, the end of the pay period, it'll automatically print out all the time that's actually owed, and she don't have to do any calculation at all.
Correct. So I'm pulling up real quick, and I'm trying to be cognizant of your time, I'm pulling up the time card report. And this is for James Anderson. It's going to show you the different locations he worked, different cost codes he performed, breaks down each chunk of time, then it breaks out regular time, OT1, OT2, based on your overtime parameters. You're paying them bi-weekly, here's that, and here are the totals.
Very nice. Pretty slick little, app.
Yes, they are.
And if you'd like, what I'll do, guys, is I'm gonna send you a walkthrough. It's basically what we just did now, and you can review it. If
Okay.
you wanna go over, it's gonna go into a little bit more detail, because we had a little bit more time.
Right. No, that sounds great. Appreciate it.
And you provide training,
Okay,
right?
guys.
And you,
That's what I was
Thank
gonna
you so
ask.
much.
Hey, Randy.
Hey, Randy, do you provide training on this?
Yes,
Alright.
as much as you need.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, thank you, Randy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
You have the link, right?
Yeah.
I just see a whole lot of Big Brother right there.
Actually, I changed that.
I get that, but in today's world,
I don't care what today's world is, people still have.
how many times, how many complaints have we had?
Test our employees a little bit.
Correct.
Then we don't need those employees.
This is a tracking device anyway.
Yeah, it is.
Yours
You're on the phone.
Your flip phone's not, but these are.
It's a good thing I have this.
It's accountability.
It's accountability.
Just one thing about one thing though, you're gonna have to buy everybody a cell phone, or you're gonna have to pay everybody a stipend for using their own phone.
You know what?
Yeah, you
on the
are,
computer.
because I guarantee you, they will. Yeah.
Do it on
Or
the-
when you receive a
Everybody in
complaint,
this courthouse can do it on their computer, because they need to be at their desk when they do it.
Everybody that reports to Road and Bridge does the
Yeah.
same thing.
job costing.
One way, I mean, that's way out of it, because if you expect them to put it on their, they're not gonna do it unless you, but how they gonna be out in the field and clock in and out?
I guess they're gonna have to report to the shop.
So if they have to go to the bathroom, they gotta drive back to shop, so they clock out to go to the bathroom, and clock back in and drive back to the job.
We pee on company time.
Pee on company time, yeah.
But I mean,
Is there a
to
problem
clock
with,
out for lunch, they're gonna have to drive back, clock back in, I don't know.
Well, you can, your supervisor, you just heard the
Some
supervisor
of it.
can clock in a crew.
Some of it's good, but man,
Oh, there's
I
pros
think
and
there's
cons.
some
to all of
overreach
it.
on this.
I like the job costing.
Yeah, cause that's just like here at Matthias Lake.
Yep.
Matthias Lake, boom, in, out, boom, in, out, boom, you know exactly what it's costing.
Job costing is not an,
And we've got
it's
one,
a benefit.
we got one going on up in, Osage County line, that 2 mile stretch road, you know exactly what it
But your blade operators, you're gonna have to provide them.
I about guarantee you 90% of people have phones that they can do it, but whether they
Yeah.
want to or not,
Well,
is a
they don't want
different
to.
story.
You can't make them.
No, but they can call in
Yeah,
and say, Susan, I'm clocking in, or
yeah,
clock me in.
yeah. Clock back out.
So how much time of our employees gonna spend on the clock back and forth, back and forth, back and forth?
I don't know. I'll bet you I'll bet you it'll surprise you.
Look how much time it's gonna save doing this
Payroll.
payroll. You just offset that.
You know, as far as the employee changing different responsibilities during the day, you know, the mowers are gonna be mowing all day, the blade guys are gonna be mowing all day, the truck. Very few of those employees are gonna be changing that code.
Right.
Very few of them are, and you can eliminate that code change.
Yeah.
When they clock in, if they change a time or two, don't even worry about it, just get their clock out.
The foreman goes with them, the laborer actually needs to do that.
No, really, the foreman can do it.
The foreman is the one that will say, this is where we're going today.
Yeah, and then when they all
These are the number
do
of
the thing,
guys.
he can clock Billy, Frank, George, and Sue in.
Or if Tim Johnson, you forget to clock in, they can go back.
Okay, the documentation of records is really scary for what it'll provide.
Oh, yeah. And it's,
I mean, the documentation, what's the value of that to a business? I don't know what that value is.
it's a lot.
I mean,
When I did it with Andrews, you had reports that it would print out, and the supervisor is responsible for signing off on those reports and verifying them.
Yep.
I'm sure there's a negative here and there, but the pluses might far outweigh it.
It's great on job costing.
I've never been involved in it, so.
You will be now.
New ball game.
You will
But
be.
we haven't signed on to it.
You'll be involved in it.
it's great on job costing, it knows how much money is out there, what it took.
94.
Yeah, they keep track of that now on the road, like road and bridge.
0914.
And it don't take long to do it. Print out a report.
We have a team up there.
I was just on it, right?
Yeah.
There's goods to it, but, yeah.
This is the one you're involved with, that you're.
My wife is.
She has no unions, don't know.
Exact, I don't care.
She's on the track.
There is quite a few out there.
Center. Please
We've
enter
got-
a conference ID.
We have
followed
pay
by
law
pound.
This, time clock for us.
Please continue.
Yeah, there's, yes, would have been about
If you're
that
the
much
meeting
higher.
organizer, press star now.
This county we just looked at, where's their base office at?
I don't have
After
time.
the tone, please record your name and then press pound.
Debbie?
Here's my driver's dispatch.
You are now joining the meeting.
Yeah.
Gary?
No. I just give all the information.
Is this done on a monthly basis? Is this done on a yearly fee, or how is it?
I'm sure it's a yearly
It'll be
subscription.
a yearly.
Yeah, most of them are.
Their app load quick.
Did it come up?
Why don't you just use
Gary,
that
are
for
you
a month?
on?
Why don't you use that for a month?
I'm on.
Just track
Okay,
how you're doing.
we're trying to get
Well, you gotta
LinkedIn,
subscribe.
for whatever that LinkedIn
You
gives
can't
to,
just
Angie,
subscribe,
so
You
we're
didn't
trying
see
Okay,
to.
I'm
this
in the
morning.
process of getting it over here, just.
Hold on a minute. Here's the one we use.
This is what you guys use, Gary.
Pay, time off, scheduling, time sheet, people, impressions, goes down the list.
I'm glad I don't have to work for somebody else.
There's not anybody that doesn't do it.
Gary,
Yes.
can you send it to B. Scheidmeyer? It's, because I grew up with the Scheidmeyers and Chipway, so that's how I know that. I'm from Yates Center, so I know all them Scheidmeyers.
Yeah, we're there.
Do you know how to spell that?
No. Go ahead.
SCHEIBMEIR at Coffee, COFFEY, County, KS.org.
So we're in the local medical center, they didn't put my name.
You were right there to
They
see.
put me in as Coffee, COF. I went in and said, that's not right, you guys ought to know this.
The next one, Gary, they need to be.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
I didn't like that didn't come through.
All right, I just sent it to Easy.
And B. Scheidmeyer?
No, I didn't get that one yet. I was already in, nope, it keeps popping back at me, so let's try this again.
It's Angie K. at coffeecountyks.org. I wonder why yours keeps coming back now. How do you know? I was in there.
Is this the new one supposed to sign?
Yeah, it's a good one.
Just see, that's 20. That's 41,000 less than we signed in.
So they gave us production.
It's not full.
That's the original.
There's 19,000 difference there.
Did it go?
16,000 difference
Not
there.
yet.
You're fine, as long as you want to.
Technology, I don't know. It's not going.
Try that one.
You send it to me again? Did he send it to Angie? Yeah, and it won't come back to him. Brad was right there.
PCP?
PCP, yes, that's it. And we'll go through it as quickly as we can. You can also go
Yeah.
to Allen County,
I keep getting
Osage
it
County, they're all running this.
Great.
So, yeah, I'll let you, they're getting in, Gary. And we're running behind and they have to have, the next one's at 10:30, so we'll have to kind of zoom through, but
Heard of these people.
this is running in Allen County, Woodson County, and Osage County. This, and it ties with our payroll system where it pulls all the time into the payroll. So, they have the apps, the phone apps that tracks the GPS. So I'll kind of go through some of this while he's getting hooked up. We have the PIN clock that you can PIN or they can sign on their computers, or the swipe card, or the biometric. We have all those. It will track they can request time off on that to their supervisor. When they want time off, they can either decline or accept that. The supervisor can. There's a calendar out there that the employees can see who's signed in, who is not. So, get it? Okay.
What county did you say you was currently working with?
They've already got it running in, Allen County, Woodson County, Osage County, Dickinson County. We've got it in almost all of our payroll
You're
accounts.
representative of the
CIC.
CIC.
Uh-huh, and we're getting Time Clock Plus, who is our business partner for the time attendance system. Yes,
Does it handle job costing?
yes,
Okay.
yes, shift differential for sheriffs and all the sheriff's
All right,
information.
I got Angie, is Angie there?
Yes,
Are you
yes.
able to see a screen? If I share it?
Yeah,
We're working on getting it.
it's coming in now,
There we go.
Gary. Gary. Oh, we're
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
Playing it.
Okay, we have that one. There you go. Gary, you there?
We'll be up here pretty quick with that.
Are you there? Gary? Zero?
I never touched anything on mine.
Oh, my goodness. I can't get out here.
Age of electronics,
Can I call him back?
is what you want.
Yeah, but I'm afraid it's.
Can we shut this off?
I think
All right, I'm not able to hear anybody on your side.
Okay,
I see,
we got-
I think you're on mute.
We're on mute. Okay, let me find your team mute.
get my teams back up here. I don't wanna sign anything like this.
No, yeah, just hit your team. Should be able to see his meeting.
Here we go.
Okay, stay on
What's
there.
this?
Okay, so there we go.
Well, they've reduced our budget
I
request
don't
by
think that'll work though. You're on my,
16,000.
Why?
You're gonna have to do, cause she's removed it into her computer back here. She's not in.
oh, you're not in this one.
Sorry.
I'm afraid it'll echo.
It's your phone and his phone echoing.
I was talking to him and.
Hang up her phone.
There you go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Welcome to the audio conferencing.
I'm ready to turn my phone.
Enter a conference ID, followed by pound.
TV should be mute, should be mute on it. That's speaker, that's mic.
Sorry, I can't find a meeting.
Well, this is what you do all day, huh, Brad?
Bring your conference ID.
They have to move all
Technology.
It works great when it works. Yeah.
If you're the meeting organizer, press star now. record your name and then press pound.
Debbie?
You're now
Gary? Gary?
Well, thank you for your time.
Hello?
All right,
Are you there, Gary?
I'm here.
Okay, let's try this again. And I kind of went over the different clocks, Gary, and a few things, so we'll just do what we can in the 15 minutes we have with these guys.
All right, no problem. Can everybody see my screen here? It says time collections options.
No, we can't see a screen yet.
Will you share his screen?
You need to share? Are you sharing your screen?
I am sharing the screen already, yes.
With us.
Are you sharing it with Angie?
Correct. That's what's on here, or whoever's in the meeting. Yeah, I have Angie listed as a guest, and then, the phone number that they're calling in on.
Oh, I don't know.
Did you shoot a lot of animals Saturday? Or Friday? Did you go to open shoot?
Oh, me and my son went up,
Okay,
Saturday. to
we're not
Ridgewood.
finding, it's not coming up
Ridgewood.
on her,
They're west of Auburn.
her laptop.
Over.
It's 40 plays. I shot a 40 out of 50, second time on the course.
In team meeting, we
Never
see,
shot
when the meeting starts, we'll let people know.
Not bad.
That's all we're seeing.
over 90 that I've never shot before.
12.
Hmm?
12.
Because I've got Angie in the meeting, Angie listed as a meeting guest in the meeting
My son shot
on my side.
20 hours. He had never shot the course before. He'd never been on the course. The course average is 17. So
See, it's got a big,
pretty damn good.
a big yellow one.
How do you?
I think I can get a 50 on it. I think
Remind me never to make you mad.
And actually, the gun he started out in was an automatic 12 gauge.
There's
And I
one.
went
There it
with
is.
Ducks Unlimited. He shot,
Yeah,
and
right there.
the damn gun jammed
Okay.
and broke on us. So then he had to turn around, use it as a single shot. I can pay him, so then he started shooting my
Just
over
continue on that, yeah,
We were
yeah,
sharing a gun.
yeah,
So
on
what
that
was the
browser,
that broke?
browser.
Some duck hunter gun, I don't know what it.
And Debbie, what I can also do is, I can check to see if we have like a webinar link that I can send over as well.
Well, hang on.
View it.
We're rejoining.
All right.
Continue with that browser. In the middle or down the bottom right here.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Should see us now again.
Yeah, just admitted it.
There you go.
There we go. Now we see ya.
That's okay. Okay,
You see my screen now?
yep.
Yes.
Okay. So, thank you. My name's Gary Pierce. I'm with TCG Software. I'm just gonna go over some things real quick, and emphasize a couple of key features as well. This particular document here, I can actually send over for you to take a look at, but this gives our different clocking options here that we have make available. We do have what is called a web clock, which is a link on a computer. You just set it up on the desktop, and the employee will come in, type in their employee ID or 4-digit PIN, be able to clock in and out. I heard something about cost codes. Yes, we can set up cost codes in our system. Those are available. We could have it right here where they're able to change it, change the job code they're in, or they would actually can go inside and change it as well. Mobile app features, we have the mobile app feature with geofencing. Be aware that everything that the web clock shows is also available on our web clock. So it's just a simple download through an app store. Once it's set up once, it'll be continuously there. No problem. You don't have to keep setting it up. And if you set up geofencing, the location device on the phone will ping the phone where the employee is, the location, and if they are not inside the geofence area, it will not allow them to do a clock operation. You can restrict where they get into. Going back to the web clock, you can also
IP restrictions. You can restrict the IP address that this operates out of, so it will prevent, I know working at home is a big feature, but if you don't want people to be able to clock in and out or work from home or from somewhere else, we can restrict that. We also have a mobile kiosk option that works off of tablets. These are good for like warehouses or remote locations that you have multiple employees working there. It's just a simple tablet, and they can clock in and out through the tablet. And then, of course, we have several different options as far as hardware. If you have wall-mounted clocks, if you want a physical clock, basic pin clock with, we could add badges to it. We can add a fingerprint scanner for biometrics. We can add a camera to take a picture. And then we have just come out with a facial recognition camera. Just be aware if you're interested in that one, it is about an 8 to 10 week wait time on a facial recognition camera. And then these are all just add-ons to the basic system here. And so with that being said, and like I said, I can send this actual document over to Debbie and she can forward it on. This is what the employee would see. They just simply clock in. This is asking them to select a job code. So they select a job code that they're set up under, or in some cases a cost code. We can set that up too, and they're in. Simple as that. More importantly, I'm going to jump over here. This is the management side. Just going back to this real quick, the employee will be able to request time off from here, anything like that. They could simply log in, take a look at, go to their dashboard, and then they have all these options here for they can review their time, their hours, their time off, things of that nature. All that is done through there. This is the management side here. This is where your supervisors and people and individuals that are actually running the system will be able to go in and make changes based off of permissions and things of that nature. Also, all the reporting is done here. One thing I did want to go over real quick here is if we go over here to our job codes, this does work with CIC payroll. What it does here is we go over here to our custom fields in our, right here. This is where it would set up, and you could either download a flat file, export it over, and import it into the CIC payroll. That's usually how it's done, but it is completely integratable with that. And how that would be set up, that would be set up through our implementation team to go over the details and make sure it's all working, functioning, and coming back and forth properly. Okay? I did want to mention that because that's a key part. It saves a lot of time on some individuals, especially when it comes to payroll time. Going back, just basic dashboard here. This is basic dashboard. These widgets are customizable. We can have these set up anywhere how you want. To see employees and their individual hours, and this is where a supervisor would come in and have to make changes to hours or things like that. This is where they would do that. They would simply just double click on it, and it allows them to edit that time frame for that employee. We have up to 3 levels of approval. If you want to employee approval, management approval, and other or overall approval. We don't have to have these set up, but we have up to 3 levels. You can have 1, 2, or 3 where they can approve their own time. As far as scheduling and things of that nature, we go back up here. Here's the schedule. So this is the schedule that is assigned to this employee, and this is where the supervisor would be able to edit and things like that. As far as time off, depending on how you do it, we do make that available. We can set up the rules and things like that for PTO and your time off procedures through here, and have them automatically calculate. Schedules here is where they would actually set up the schedules. As you can see, we have several different schedules that you can use.
a report of their time once it's entered, a time sheet?
That was my next step here, is this is going over here to our reporting. We have over 70 reports already pre-made. These can be run automatically, or you could download them and export them at your convenience. One of the most popular ones is like this, a complete payroll report. And I'm just gonna pull it up. You can download it, or you can preview it here. And this is just a basic sheet. You can also filter these out if you want to look at individuals, so you don't have to always look at the entire company or things like that. But it gives a breakdown of the time frame, and you can edit those as needed. But day to day, total number of hours, job codes, things like that. We can tinker with this a little bit and make this look how you know, whatever you'd like to do with that. But like I said, we have over 70 what I call canned reports available in the system already. And or we can create some of these and make them look exactly. We do it through a create save report. And like I said, these are exportable, so you could download these out, move to a desktop, edit them, play around with them, and then bring them back in, things of that nature.
Gary, I want to mention to them that any one of these reports can be set up to email automatically. So at the end of the pay period, if you want the commissioners to have a report, they can have that of the overtime, and it'll automatically email it to them. The payroll clerk doesn't have to remember to set that up, so.
And kind of piggybacking on that, as far as time off request, those can also be set up that when the employee requests any time off, the approving party can get an email and would be able to approve or deny the time off directly from the email or log into this system and also do that. So a little bit of easy use here. Just real quickly, I know we had some connectivity issues right there already. Was there anything, I know that was really quick, and there's a lot more to it, but anything specific that you're...
There is a lot more to this, so.
Yeah.
Is there any question that you have right now that?
Does your system automatically, at the end of each month, maintain the sick leave they've got available and vacation they got available? It adds in plus takes out?
Yes.
Add in what they've earned, take out what they've...
It works with the CIC
And that's
payroll.
currently available?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, sir.
It's only as good as the information that's put in.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
If you don't put nothing in it, it won't spit nothing out.
Right.
But if you put poop in it,
Are
it's
you
gonna spit poop
accruing
out.
automatically with the CIC payroll now? Okay, so they're doing that, and this will talk to it, so.
So it'll automatically be added in
And the way
as
you
well.
do that is set it up right here, like, so we have our accrual rules, whatever your rules are for your time off, we would set these up here, the rules. So this particular one is, 40 hours bulk, not based, or if you wanna go by hours, if they know they get so much time off per hour work, we can also set that up. But this one is 40 hours given to the employee yearly on the date, beginning when they're hired, and this particular rule will stop 1 year after hire date, and then we have a second rule that automatically take over. So you build the rule, assign it to a bank here, and then you assign the banks to the employee that needs that rule, and it will automatically do it. When the employee puts a time off request and approve, it automatically calculates that out and adjusts the hours.
And real quick, the trainers are us with CIC because it works with our CIC payroll, and most likely you know Joanne. That's one of our trainers out of Fort Scott. So we are the ones that come in, so you have one point of contact for support. You don't have to call TCP. We handle all the support as well. If we can't handle it, then we get TCP involved. And so, kind of keeps the county just having to deal with one vendor, so.
Very well. I mean, what I like is it'll already talk to the software that we already have.
Yeah.
You don't have to go spend more money or waste the money that you've already spent on something that you already have. It's gonna marry together.
Yeah, it is a plus, and if you have time to go up and see, you know, Allen County or Osage County, you know, see how they're running it, but they've been on it for a while. Allen County's been on it for a long time.
And it's
Woodson-
working well? And
Yeah, Woodson County's been on it for, see, I've had them up 5 or 6 years now. They're a smaller county, but, you know, Osage County, and then in fact, I've just been working with Osage, they're getting ready to start the mobile apps. They've had the software, they weren't utilizing it all the way to the fullest, but I just met with the commissioners last month, and now we're getting them up on the mobile apps and to do more functionality in it. So, yeah, and I know we're out of time.
Yep, we're out of time, unfortunately.
Gary, thank you.
Thank you, and if you have any questions, please get with Debbie and we'll do answer anything. I will go ahead and send this PowerPoint presentation over to Debbie as well to share with you.
Thank you,
Appreciate your
Gary.
time.
Thank you. I'm so sorry, guys,
That's
for the
okay.
technical part, but if you do have any other questions, I'm just in Yates Center, I can come back up anytime.
You're at Yates Center.
Uh-huh, thanks, Gary. Yeah.
Debbie, our current timesheets, they're just handwritten in.
Yes,
And so the employees get paid for 40 hours a week,
mostly,
90% of the time or
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
In this system,
Mhm.
they clock in, they clock in.
Yes.
It's all computerized.
Yes.
What happens at the end of the year, end of the month, they've got more hours in the computer than what we're paying them at 160 hours a month.
So are they salary? They automatically get
Well,
just,
no, these are hourly.
okay, hourly, okay.
The computer's gonna maybe document that we owe them an extra hour, hour and a half overtime. Where now in the system, they don't.
Yeah.
How's
So-
wage and hour treat that?
So when it
That's a
comes
document
in,
for wage and hour people in Topeka.
okay, so with that, when that comes in, that have to be approved to be paid by the commissioners, but it'll be in there. That extra hour will be showing in the
it has
computer.
that
Currently, we're not
approval
paying them the
option before it
overtime.
gets to me,
Yes, it has the approval step. Yes,
before it comes to me,
yes.
so that would be up to the supervisor to,
Okay,
Right
that,
now, if the computer records an extra 2 hours,
uh-huh,
and currently we're penciling it in, we're only paying 40, computer's gonna say, well, because of the way they clocked in and out, you
So
know,
if they have
one for
over-
42 hours.
if they have 42 now on their
Yes,
sheet.
they won't, that's what I'm saying.
the paper, they,
Oh, they're just putting the 40 hours.
Just put
period.
in 40.
Okay.
Now you got a document that says
Yeah.
42, how's wage and hour treat that?
Well, it's gonna come in as a 42. She's gonna have to,
Yeah, that's
it
gonna,
is,
we're gonna
yeah.
have some overtime.
If you do, yes.
Chances are.
but if
Uh-huh.
a person's short,
Yes,
Yeah, it'd be the same way if they're short.
Yes.
exactly.
My concern is the overage.
yes,
Well,
and that's gonna
Because
be,
there you get wage and
the
hours.
supervisor needs to keep an eye on that, and they can,
Yeah.
because they can pull up their time anytime during the week and see that.
Enter your participant ID,
They
followed
clock
by
out
pound.
15 minutes early
Otherwise,
on
just
Friday.
press pound.
I understand, the
You
short,
are in the meeting
Well, they
now.
clock out
There is one
15
other
minutes
participant
early.
in the meeting.
if they clock out late, you get time and a half.
Yeah, but if you clock them out early, 15 minutes early, that's gone.
Now, I see both sides of it, you just don't want them to get over the.
Thank you,
Well,
Debbie.
they leave 15 minutes early on a Friday or whenever. That's how, never mind.
Nobody else there? Our phone number and
That's how some companies handle it.
Mhm.
We're going to now.
This is gonna be Paycor.
I bet there's not a lot of difference in any of them.
Probably not.
They're pretty well, now, it's been out long enough that they're uniform.
So what do you do when you got an employee that goes to a conference, say, sign up? How they gonna clock in and out? We've had employees, we've had commissioners.
90% of them are salary paid anyway.
Well,
Oh, no. We have them, yeah, salary paid.
Salary paid, so.
No, a lot of them are hourly paid, it goes.
that's why you write
or
them
their
in.
supervisor,
Supervisor will write them in.
yeah,
Supervisor.
clock them in, clock them
My
out.
point is, we've had commissioners do it, we've had other employees do it, they'll go to a conference, and they'll never attend a meeting once in a conference.
Mhm. Vacation.
It's paid vacation at the county.
Mhm.
We've had, but they're not hearing.
Well, you know, you could create a job, geofence. All you
Yeah.
gotta do is create a job.
Create a job, they park in, that's it.
Say if it's at the Marriott in Kansas City,
Yeah,
create a job. This person's going to it. When they punch in, boom. It can happen. You can geofence that.
But
yeah.
Yeah, you can, but I guess my point is, even though they're at the Marriott, doesn't mean they're at the meetings.
Well, yeah, right, exactly. True.
We have that.
It boils down to where you gotta have a little bit of trust.
Enter your participant ID.
I think that's what I
You
said.
are in the meeting now. There are 3 participants in the meeting. Oh,
Megan?
yes.
Okay, it's Angie. Sorry, we've had some technology problems all morning, so
Oh, no.
we are getting on here in just a second. So the commission's here, so we're ready to go.
Okay, perfect. Let me know.
Should be coming up.
We should be on here in just, yep.
This meeting is being recorded. All right, Angie Chan, everybody in the room?
Yes.
We cannot see you.
No,
Are you
you-
able to see us?
Yes, you're good to go.
Okay, great. I'm gonna go ahead and kick us off then. Thank you all for your time and thank you for inviting us to your meeting today. My name is Lindsay Keller. I am joined with Megan Todd, my colleague, as well as Michelle Hoover. Michelle is gonna be walking us through the technology demonstration today, but I wanted to tee this up just a little bit, give you just a little bit of background. Just what you're seeing from Paycor may be a little bit different than what you're going to see from some of the other groups that you're talking to. So in our conversation with Angie, one of the things Megan and I and Michelle really try to do is really understand for a prospective group, what are you really trying to fix? What are the struggles that you guys are having now? And then understand if Paycor can help alleviate that. In those conversations, it was clear at the beginning that the focus that you guys were looking for was an electronic time and attendance tracking solution. That's where most of the pain was. And Angie mentioned there were a lot of manual processes happening, a lot of those having to do with time and attendance, and just a lot of redundant and manual work that was being caused by all of that. Based on our years of experience with this, we really determined that in many cases when we talk to prospective clients that are looking for a time solution to cut down on the amount of manual work that's being done, what a lot of times happens in with organizations that will opt for a standalone time and attendance system is there's really just kind of a shift of work that's done. Although the collecting time process and reviewing the time, all of that is much more streamlined and not the manual processes that you guys are dealing with today. But unfortunately, what comes with that is a manual work that is caused by having to maintain yet another database. So what we're proposing is the full Paycor solution to cover payroll, HR, or for HR, your employee record, new hire onboarding, and then the time and attendance tracking. So today, Michelle is going to walk us through that. We've also provided some information for you all that you can kind of have as reference and make notes on throughout this presentation, but we won't be following it exactly. So we're going to walk you through what this process would look like, and certainly time probably doesn't allow us a lot of time for questions and answers. Hopefully we'll have some time at the end, but if not, please do not hesitate to reach out to us after this, and we will be more than happy to provide any of that information that we can.
Okay.
And with that, I'm going to turn things over to Michelle. Go ahead. Thank you, Lindsay. All right. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to turn off my video because I'm looking at a different monitor. But really quick, this is the Paycor homepage. And as Lindsay mentioned, we have a unified solution. So everything is in one place. It's kind of an all-in-one. This homepage is customized based on the user. So employees will even be able to log in and be able to view personal information, some company news details. There's different logins, and so right now I'm logged in as Michael Banks, the administrator. So it's a single sign-on environment. I can log in as Michael, the administrator, who has access and visibility into everything, but Michael is also an employee. So I'll be able to see my personal information as well. This homepage is really designed to empower leaders, giving them visibility into all areas of the solution. At the top here, you're going to see they're going to be able to stay compliant. If there's any compliance alerts that they need to be aware of, they're going to see that. We have analytics that give them visibility into trends of turnover rates and employee headcount. Down here, there's various widgets. These can be customized, configured, moved around, but the company news is a great area for you to broadcast and send messages to your employees. So whether it's an event that's coming up, whether you're spotlighting an employee for going above and beyond, maybe even a weather alert or benefits. It's a great place to push out notifications to your employees, being able to alert them right away of any changing conditions. You can manage your team from this home page. You also have visibility into those pending new hires with an onboarding widget. And then various other widgets depending on how you want to customize this and set it up, including capturing time. So we're going to talk about collecting time and having visibility into that from a mobile device as well as a desktop, and actually many different other environments. And then there's even a dashboard area that you can really monitor from a supervisor admin perspective, monitor that time activity. Time off requests can be made right here also, and they have visibility into the real balances. Pay stubs can be viewed from here, so a lot of information can be gathered right from this homepage. And again, it can be customized and configured how you'd like. And we're going to start talking about a couple things in the demonstration, hire to retire. So the first thing we're going to talk about is hiring a new employee. Basically, we have the ability to package up an onboarding kit that you're going to electronically send to that new hire, giving them the ability to fill out that information ahead of time. So they'll fill out all this detail here electronically, submit it back to you, and they can fill this out on a mobile device as well as a desktop. So the idea, though, is we're going to collect it one time, and it's going to automatically load into the system. So you'll be able to launch out a customized kit for that individual. You'll also be able to assign any tasks that need to go to other employees. Maybe you've got somebody who's going to create a security badge, and somebody else is going to set up a training schedule. So you can automate those assignments as well as part of this launch. When the new hire gets to this onboarding kit, this can be filled out on a mobile device or a desktop. You're going to see over here on the left, you'll have the ability to customize what you want to collect from that individual. So personal details, emergency contacts, EEO information. With this welcome page, you customize it with your logo. You can include a welcome video, so welcoming them to the organization, and any additional links that you want to include. If you're hiring individuals that would like to see this presented in Spanish or French, they can translate that here as well. And then basically, they're just going to go through these different pages on the left. Again, personal details, tax information. So I-9, the idea is it's going to just prompt them with a couple questions. It'll fill out that I-9 document for them, so they don't have to go through that. Direct deposit information gives them a visual to the check, so they can see exactly which numbers are the routing numbers and accounting numbers. It'll real-time validate the bank name, so they know that that information is entered accurately. For the tax setup section, it's going to go through and fill out that W-4 and estate tax form for them. Automating that process, it just prompts them with a couple tax questions, and then it completes that document for them. Additional information allowing you to capture any additional details from that new hire that you want. Maybe the license plate, a uniform size. They can upload driver's license. Anything you want to collect during that onboarding process, you can do that. And then the last section of the onboarding is basically you providing documents for that new person to view and acknowledge electronically. So you've got a company handbook. They can pull it up. They can review it, sign that they've looked at it, and then continue. And they'll be able to do that with all the documents that you've included in the onboarding kit. But the idea is for you to be able to capture all this information ahead of time, and it will then flow directly into your system. Once we've completed the onboarding, it will create an employee profile. So back here in our system, Manage People is where we go to manage all of our employees. Once they've sent that information back to us, we'll take care of the new state filing. We'll your view of what you're looking for here. So the idea is to electronically be able to store all information about this individual in one central location. So this is a single source of truth of all things Connie. So you can see here I can upload a photo if I'd like, and then over here it's kind of like an electronic file cabinet of everything about Connie that we want to capture and collect. So there's a drawer that has all the pay information, so all her pay stubs, her tax documents, direct deposits, anything related to her pay and taxes is in that drawer. There's a drawer on time information, so we can go view time card details, time off requests, labor allocation, again, anything related to time. There's a position drawer so that we can see her current role in the organization. We can also see an organization chart. Shared documents gives us the ability to store all those onboarding documents that she signed and acknowledged. Those are all housed in this place. And she can, at any point in time, we're going to give the employees that ability to self-serve so they can log in on their mobile device and be able to look at their onboarding documents. Maybe I need to go back and look at that PTO policy again or the safety policy. Any assets that I've given to that individual, so if I've given them keys to the building or maybe a pass card or a parking spot, anything, or a laptop, anything I've distributed to that individual. The personal areas, personal details, emergency contacts, I-9, vaccination records, certifications can be stored here. And if that certification has an expiration date, being able to stay compliant on those certifications, it'll automatically launch out that notice to that individual that their certification is getting ready to expire. There's a performance drawer, so anything like performance reviews, whether you're doing those 90-day reviews or an annual performance review, being able to automate that step. Discipline, if you want to capture and log discipline on that individual, maybe they've been tardied several times and you want to document that, again, that can be all stored in the individual's profile. Safety incidents, these are OSHA compliant forms. So if somebody has an injury, being able to make sure you're compliant and collecting all of the injury details so that you can file those OSHA 300 reports. And then benefits, being able to see all the benefits that Connie has elected into and having all that information there. Any questions about the employee's profile?
I don't have any.
I don't have any.
Lot of information.
So I'm going to log into, we showed you everything kind of from the desktop view. I want to show you what it looks like from the employee's mobile perspective, because the idea is that the employees will have that capability on their mobile device. I know today I use my mobile phone all the time to look up my benefits that I've enrolled in, to reference any onboarding document that I have out there. I'm sorry?
No, nothing.
Any additional information. All right, so this, I was pulling that up. I was going to let you know the view, we're talking about the employee's view. Keep in mind that supervisors or department leads will also have visibility in these formats as well. Because everything in Paycor is single sign-on, when they log into their mobile device, they'll be able to view their information as an employee, but they'll also have access to view the employees that report directly to them if you give them access. Go ahead, Michelle. Yep. So this is the mobile environment. And this is from the employee's perspective. So these various, we call them widgets, but these various widgets will be customized based on their access. So as Lindsay alluded to, managers will have a few more options displayed here because they can manage time cards from their mobile device. They can also manage time off requests from the mobile device. But from an employee's perspective, they can actually create a punch, so punching in and out from the mobile device, logging in timesheets, however you want to set that individual up for collecting time can be done on the mobile environment. It's got a pay widget down here that we can go and view pay stub information. So if I want to go look at my pay details, I can see this on my mobile phone. And I can look at not only my pay stub, but also my W-2 information. So if you've got that employee that needs to go out and maybe they're making a large purchase over the weekend and they need that pay information, they don't have to reach out to you now to get that. They can do that themselves on their mobile phone. And I can just kind of show you here. We also have W-2s that can be set up. They can view from their mobile device as well. pausing here a moment. Bear with me. And then we've got time off requests. Time off requests can be made as well from the mobile device. So they can see on their mobile device their current available balances. Oh, I apologize there. I think it timed me out. Michelle's going to walk you guys through. We understood from Angie that the time off request and accrual process is one that's especially difficult today. And I think primarily, or at least one of the large reasons for that is there's really a lack of visibility because Angie's having to track that manually on a spreadsheet. The employee isn't 100% sure if they have time left to take. The manager may not be sure if they've got the time available in their bank when they're approving or denying that. But as Michelle will show you, when the employee goes, or with this process, when the employee is requesting and when the manager is deciding whether it's approved or denied, they're going to have access to all of that information before they make their decision. Again, we have very robust, we have very robust capability of setting up the time off request. And it can be set up as accruals that they accrue over time. It could also be set up that they get a lump sum of hours up front. We can automate the milestones, so after a couple of years they get a little bit of more time. So we can automate a lot of those processes. We can put probationary period in there. We can put rules and restrictions so that they can't request time off on certain dates. But you can see it right from the mobile phone. They're going to see in each of their accrual balances what the real available balance is. And then requesting time is as simple as selecting that option, selecting the date they want on, whether it's a full day or partial day. They can select that they want maybe just half a day off. And then when they're finished requesting it, they can add a note optionally and then submit when they're finished. So it's very easy to request that time off. And then that will alert the managers that there's a time off request. And then the managers will have the ability at that point to then approve it, and then that'll update the balances for that employee. So they'll be able to see exactly what's available. And then that flows automatically over into payroll. In addition to that, we talked about the company news section that was on that homepage we saw earlier. They can view that information there. I mentioned as well, if you're putting something out there like a weather alert and you want the employees to know that immediately, there's even an alert icon you can see down here at the bottom. They're going to see that alert that there's something new that's been updated in the company news section. If you want them to have visibility into the company directory, they can view that there. We've got training options that are available from the mobile device. Documents, so all those documents, those onboarding documents and any additional documents they signed off on will be visible here. They can also access benefits. I went through my benefit enrollment on my mobile device this past year, and it just walks me through the steps to do that very easily. Any other questions on the mobile device?
I don't believe I have anything.
I don't have anything.
All right. I'm going to go back now to the desktop view and then talk a little bit about time. And we're going to talk about being able to, we can collect time many different ways, whether it's time clocks, whether it's a kiosk, maybe it's an iPad you've got set up somewhere, maybe it's timesheets that are logging their time. But we can also set up a punch icon or option so that they can actually punch in and out right from their desktop. And you can see here back on the home page, they can report a missed punch. If they forgot to punch out yesterday, they can send a message to their supervisor. But to create a punch, all they need to do is click on that option. We have a couple different versions of punches. One is a quick punch, where they just click on that and it's captured the punch and they're done. Or in this example, this is a detailed punch. Maybe you want them to collect the details of that punch. Is it an in or out punch? Is it a punch for a meal or a break? Or maybe they're transferring the punch to a different department. And then not only can they transfer a different department, we can also collect job details all the way from like labor categories that go up to 6 different levels. So if you want to collect those job costing, labor costing details, we can actually do that on the time card as well. And again, this can be customized. It can go 6 different levels. And then they can add notes onto their punch if they'd like, and then they click punch, and that's all there is to it in capturing that punch. Now, the nice thing is, once those employees have all things time can be managed here. And you can see I've got different toggles. So the today toggle will actually show me where my employees are right now. And I can refresh it, so it's a real-time refresh. So I can see who's clocked in, who's out on break, who's out to lunch, and it's a color-coded key. I can also look at the weekly view, and this helps me manage overtime. That's one of those costs that are more easily controlled. But I can set a threshold of when that overtime is flagged, and so I'll be able to see which employees are approaching that overtime perspective. So I can see down here, there's a listing of my employees. I can see that I've got some earning overtime, so if I need to adjust schedules, I have the ability to do that. So you'll be able to define what those thresholds are. And then I can also set up what's called exceptions. So if you want to be able to capture details like non-critical exceptions are things like the employee punched in 20 minutes late again. So those repeat offenders, you want to keep tabs on them and maybe eventually set up a point system to be able to track that. Critical exceptions are things like missed punch. I need to right away capture that detail and fix that punch because I don't know how much to pay that individual. And then the last view we can see here is the payroll period. And this is where we go in and approve those time cards. And I can also approve time off requests from the time dashboard. And you can see we can set up all things time here. And very easily I can set up an approve all button so that they can approve all the time cards with a single click. Once the time cards are approved, we can navigate over to payroll. And the payroll side of things, again, we're giving you visibility into the details. We're automatically flowing that over. And you can see here, this is scheduled pay run. Once I'm ready to begin, it's going to automatically load in that time data into my payroll. And you'll be able to see all the individuals in the pay run. I'll see all the time data listed here, overtime that's listed. Salary individuals are here. You can customize the columns. So if you want to additionally be able to run payroll by entering expenses or bonuses, shift differentials will automatically be flagged here as well and be picked up in the details of that individual. So you can see here, she's got a shift differential in the third shift. It automatically assigned her additional hours to her pay. But here in the earnings section, I can see all the holidays, sick, vacation time, bonuses. There's a deduction section, so health insurance, 401k, taxes, accruals, gross to net. So now I can actually see Ann's paycheck with all the details broken out. And all that flows automatically into the payroll. And then it's very easy to be able to make some adjustments. If I want to add checks, I can add pay stub messages here. If I need to split her allocation into two departments, I can easily do that here. And then when I'm finished, I can review my pay run, submit it when I'm ready. Paycor takes over from there. We file all your taxes and all your returns, pay all the employees, deposit into their accounts, and then you can run a series of reports to view that information when you're finished. Any questions? We even have checks and balances here, so when you're reviewing the pay run, it makes sure we're not missing anything and everything is compliant and we don't have any missing features. Lindsay, anything else to add? No, I just wanted, if you can just transition to that review pay run screen. One of the things we really don't have the ability to show you in today's demo, but I know is something that would be very important to you all, is how this information gets to your accounting system. So you'll see here when you go to this review payroll screen, it's going to give you the full breakdown of how much you should, all of your taxes, any deductions. You'll also be able to run a pre-post journal to see all of this detail. And at this point, nothing has been processed yet. This can be reviewed if you have a process where different individuals or maybe department heads need to sign off on this before it's actually processed. We can handle that as well. And then at the end of this, when payroll is processed, we will be creating a special GL file for your accounting team. And that will be built to your specific chart of accounts and your specific certifications so that that information can just simply be uploaded into CIC each pay period. So all of your books will be updated again, eliminating the need to do any manual data entry or manual keying of information. And then the last thing I wanted to tell you all, it is listed as one of the services in HCM Core on the documents that you were provided. It's probably one of the first or second ones on there, but Paycor does not charge on a per payroll processing fee. In fact, we just charge a flat monthly fee based on your employee count. So what that means is, if you guys were needing to process an off-cycle pay run, a bonus pay run, or if you decide to stay competitive with workforce, or your seasonal help, you need to change to a biweekly or a weekly pay frequency. Understand that you guys can make those decisions. You can process those off-cycle checks at any time. It will not affect the cost of the service.
Okay.
Do you currently have any other counties on your system or comparable companies that's on your system that we can reference to?
Yeah, so Jackson County up here is a client of mine, and they have been for more than 10 years, I know for sure. I don't know the exact time. I mean, they have over 2,000 employees under their umbrella, but very similar structuring. They handle the time and attendance a little different from department to department. Everybody kind of has their own set of rules and their own processes, so we really had to customize each group under that umbrella. We work with a number of different cities and municipalities, counties, and would certainly be able to provide you some of those if you'd like.
On the pay employee side, have you had any issues, let's say in the last year, with getting the employee paid?
No, I would, certainly, this is just a personal, I would highly recommend having an electronic payment option set up for each employee, so whether that be direct deposit. If there are employees that are not on direct deposit, we can offer the pay card option, or we also have what we call the Paycor wallet, and that allows the employee to access those wages from their mobile device as well. That being said, if you have employees that do not want to set up an electronic payment and you guys are okay with that, we can issue live checks. The only, I guess I would say, issue that I would just always caution any client about is understand that when we ship those to you, we ship them via UPS. We can't control when that UPS driver delivers those packages. I don't really hear issues. I've had a couple actually that UPS said that the address, they were very rural areas, and UPS said that their address didn't pull up in the U.S. Postal, and we ran some test payments, and they still received those in plenty of time, far before the deadline. So I don't think there are any concerns, but keep in mind, the weather, especially in the Midwest, you never know what could come into play there. So just wanted to let you know that that could be something that would be outside of Paycor's control.
I was going with electronic side, so no problems in the last year with the electronic side, having it electronically deposited?
No, I mean, we issue our direct deposit as long as payroll is submitted by 3 o'clock local time, 2 days prior to the check date. We will issue direct deposits or the pay card payments or send out checks, and have not had issues with those.
All right.
Do you have your first year expenses written down for us? What's your projected second, third, and fourth year? And if there's new updates, or is there a charge for the new updates to dump in?
Absolutely, great question. So the summary cost that is listed on there, the only difference that you're going to notice in years 2, 3, and subsequently is going to be the setup or implementation fees. Those only are applied one time. The very first, when you come on board, they're not charged each year, the one-time fee. So those are not repeated year after year. And then the promotional dollar amount that is listed there, that is just your initial promotion that first year. So those are the only only two pieces that would change. I did also provide Angie with a full detail breakdown of the pricing without any of the promotions listed in there. So I'm sure she could provide that to the team. As far as when there are updates and changes to the system and how that affects your costs, one of the greatest things about Paycor is that we operate on a single platform, and we push out updates and changes to that platform for all of our clients on a very regular basis. And all of our clients are always on the latest and greatest. You do not pay for upgrades or new license fees. If you were used to, maybe with CIC, paying for, the new tax tables and things like that, all of that goes away with this cloud-based system.
Very well. Well, we've kind of got a tight schedule today, gals, and we appreciate the Zoom meeting.
Absolutely. As we mentioned, thank you so very much for your time. We really hope we have the opportunity to partner with you. Please do not hesitate to send us any questions that you may have. I will be traveling, but if you include Megan and I both in that communication, we'll be sure to get back to you with those answers as soon as possible, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great afternoon.
Do.
Thank you.
One stuff. Now, was they intertwined with CIC as well?
They can.
They
From what
can.
I understand, exact time and Paycor, all it is an import file.
Okay.
Or,
So it all, what we've seen today will marry with what we have.
They got CIC listed.
yeah.
Well, that includes.
I'm not sure where we proceed from here, but we got three great presentations.
I really like
Lots
that
and lots
exact
of
time. I really do.
Lots of similarities, but I'm not too sure Angie and, just dropped her name, Terry. Maybe come up with 10 or 12 different questions to make telephone calls for references, because you're the ones gonna be working with it. Of course,
We can work on that this
we
week.
the references need to be checked out very
Yes.
quick.
Mhm.
And Christina from HR
I can
probably
ask her.
could be a good contact as far as reference. As many counties she's working with, she's working with
Yeah,
different companies here.
yeah, I will get with her.
The training part, I'm sure that's all provided at no charge from all of them. Set up
Yes.
January 1st, we gotta make, if we decide to move,
Yeah,
gotta make sure that we all provide it.
thank you.
And we only heard cost from two companies.
Yeah.
Bobby, do you have,
Yes, sir.
will 20 minutes be enough for you?
Yes, sir. I request the commissioners go into an executive session to discuss matters of non-elected personnel for 20 minutes.
I'll move.
I'll
Second.
Go ahead, Bob.
Have Wade go in?
No, sir. I'm discussing the subject is the county counselor.
Non-elected personnel.
I'd feel better if we had Wade in there.
It's the county counselor.
Yeah.
He's not elected.
Well, he's also our county.
The county attorney is.
He's county attorney, but he's not county counselor.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We will enter at 11, we can make it 11:11.
11.
For 20 minutes or 10 minutes, 15?
20.
He is the
Well-
county counselor, though.
Yeah. We can't go past 11:30.
Right,
We'll come back at 11:30.
okay.
If we need to go back in.
All right.
20 minutes. All right, we're back. Now we're gonna recess until, what is it, 1 o'clock?
1:30.
Well, we gotta be here by 1:30.
Yeah, she'll be back.
Well, it's gonna take a little bit to clean up after the deal too.
Yeah.
We'll recess till 1:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Better take my keys.
Good idea.
We are back, 1:30. County Councilor Wade Bowie. You're up.
So, I'm not sure where you wanna have, this, I guess, there's two places to go with this. This has to do with the county drug testing policy. I think it's, ripe for conversation for multiple reasons, but, I'm not sure if it's something that was brought up by Christina in her initial assessment. My understanding is the drug testing policy was revamped, revised several years ago, went into effect in 2017. The current sheriff, was one of the architects of that testing policy, and, after he and whoever else worked on it, then sent it to the then county attorney, Doug Whitteman, who then sent it to some firm in Wichita, and it was given the thumbs up. Is that?
Correct.
So that's where we are. Some questions have been raised about the policy and how the mechanics of how it works, so I'll start there, and then it may lead into my request for an executive session to discuss, legal matters that may go into potential litigation. So I think the only one who would have been on the board at the time would have been Bob. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know anything about the policy?
I know it took a long time to do, and then when it came back, it's been changed since then too, though.
Since 2017?
2017, I guess it might have been 2017 when it was finally changed.
That was the final.
Yeah. But I have some thoughts on it, so I just throw mine out. I think it's kind of a joke. That we spend that kind of money for drug tests. We drug test people when they become employees, and if they're ever in an accident, we drug test them right then. I can take a drug test today and be totally good. Friday, I can have an accident and take a drug test and I'm positive. I mean, to me, it doesn't make sense. I think we've had, I'm trying to think, whether it's one or whether it's been two incidents since I have been here. I think it's only been one incident we ever caught anybody, and it was kind of a suspect, and I think his name was actually drawn into the random because he was kind of a suspect. So I don't think that we have overabundantly used it, and it cost us quite a bit of money to put every employee in this county on that system. And then it goes again, elected officials don't have to do it if they don't want it, but, I honestly think we're county's wasting money. Because we will test you when you come, and we test if you have an accident, but at the same time, we need a statement in there that if Tim comes in, I don't want to use Tim, let's say an employee comes in all weary-eyed and dragging and everything else, then that department head has a right to request a drug test, and we can send them up to the hospital for that drug test a whole lot cheaper than we pay this company. That's just my thinking on it.
So I think there's a certain segment of the workforce that's required to take.
Okay, if they're required, then we don't. If they're required, they're required. But if they're not, why are we testing everybody in the treasurer's office? I mean, if there's no problems.
It's something that was put in place before my time, so now we're backtracking
I know
trying to figure out.
But I'm gonna tell you what, an awful lot of those same things that were put in place the same time that was have been changed since then. And some of them were starting to be changed a month after we got that back from those high dollar attorneys. So, it's just my thinking.
So what's our current annual cost on our drug deal? Do you know, Angie?
I can
Andrea ought to be able to answer that.
if we don't test anybody just for the maintenance fee they maintain, the company that maintains the system, it's about a $500 a month bill, but when we do.
$500 a month or a quarter? Cause the testing's done
A
quarter.
quarter, sorry, and then.
So $2,000 a year.
But then if, on a quarter that we're testing, it's about 900 and something dollars.
So you're gonna test every quarter, so it's 900 plus 500 or 900
No, it's the
total?
combined total.
900 total.
Right.
Per quarter.
It's only 3,600.
I mean, that's, in my eyes, that's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, that's peanuts.
It is, but is it worth the drop in the bucket? I don't think we've ever gained anything from that drop in the bucket.
Well, you hope you never gain that.
Well, you don't wanna gain anything.
You don't wanna gain anything.
You just wanna protect the county.
What's the maximum number that are pulled up in the random sample per quarter? Is it 4 employees or 5 employees or 10? I've been called up 3 times in 5.5 years.
I don't wanna give you numbers that are false. There's a certain number of the DOTs because they have to fulfill the percentages for DOT. And then the paperwork that they submit shows the pool and the percentage and everything on it, and I don't have that in front of me, but they provide all the statistics of how many are in the pool. This is the percentage that were DOT.
And they pull the names. They absolutely pull the names.
Yeah. And they're in by number.
By the random sample.
Their computer pulls employees that are entered as a number in their system, so it pulls up the number that then generates the name that was associated with that number.
So along with the DOT, the mandatory percentage of the DOT drug screens, is there a section that goes with the DOT that is the alternates for those 6, 7, 10 people? So say there's 10 being pulled on the DOT drug pool, and say there's 4 alternates, because you're gonna have drug and alcohol on the DOT, or you're gonna have both. So Billy is an alternate. Is he gonna be an alternate for the alcohol, and Sam be the alternate for the drug?
Well, the DOTs don't get alternates from what Kenny Roney is the primary on this, and the way we've done it, it's my understanding, and I don't wanna, but the DOTs don't get alternates. We have to wait until.
See, I think the consortium people are doing it wrong, because we're getting alternates.
Well, we have alternates, but they're not replacing the DOT.
That's what I was wondering. Why do we need alternates?
Mine replace the DOT. If I've got 5 randoms, I will have like 2 or 3 alternates. If any of those 5 can't make it.
Yeah, non-DOT person can't replace a DOT.
No, I'm not saying non-DOT. I'm saying DOT. So if there's 5 pulled in a random, there will be 2 or 3 that's pulled as a alternate for the 5. There's an alternate random.
DOT list?
Yes.
The list that we have received is the non-DOT alternate list, but I don't have an alternate for DOT.
That's what I'm trying to wrap my head around, because my drug pool that we're in, they give alternates for the DOT. We're all DOT.
Right.
And so they give alternates. And so if you use the alternates, that's fine. If you don't, that's no big deal. If you can test the ones that was in the original draw. But the alternates were also random as well.
Correct, and this is the list that they provide. We don't get to say, okay, well, I need a few alternates, so let me just pick this guy. It's their list. So if somebody shows up and says, oh yeah, I'm here to test, and they're not on their list, they cannot test.
Right.
They have to be on the list that the company provides, because
Right.
that's what they pull from. So when you have an alternate, they need to know who that alternate is replacing, because not everybody tests for drugs and alcohol. Some people are just drugs, so they say, okay, well, who is this person an alternate for, because they need to know who.
I'm curious, who's the company that does our drug screen?
Compliance One, they do several of the county.
We use Mount Carmel out of Pittsburgh, and
Well, we've never had any issues, so I'm kind of confused where the concerns are coming from now. We haven't had any. I mean, as long as they've been doing this, we haven't had an issue. When people are pulled up, they come. When people are on the alternate list, they come. I don't understand why all of a sudden there's an issue with it.
Well, we've been discussing you might have been gone on vacation. We'd discussed several times the drug pool over the last 4 meetings or something, about who needs to be on it, why they need to be on it, or so on and so forth. So it's kind of been a revolving topic here. And so.
Well, that's why I was like at the last meeting, I said I hate to beat the subject to death about doing away with the randoms, because it is. When not every county employee is in the pool, it's frustrating for the ones who keep coming up over and over and over again, knowing that not every county employee is in the pool. But since now it is still a policy that we have randoms, the people who are on the list, they all come. We haven't had an issue.
And there was some guidance that just came out. I think the question was asked, and Christina, I think, sent out an email to everybody indicating that for the sensitive positions they're required, but all others are up to the county. The county can set the policy as it relates to who is subject to a random drug test, or the drug testing policy itself. So it appears from what the historical document is, the county opted everybody in. And then the asterisk is always probably Nylander, where elected officials get the option to decide for their departments. I mean, I understand the logic. The county attorney's office was opted out. I opted the county attorney's office back in. And so I get it.
So I guess the question is, I mean, do we want any other than mandatory personnel in the drug pool?
I mean, that's the question. The question is, do we need any other than the mandatory?
Need or want.
Need or want.
I mean, that's
right.
Need or want.
Right.
I mean, that's the way I understand it's at right now. We're at the Y in the road, and we either go with everybody or we go with just mandatory.
As long as there's the mandatory, but as long as there's an option, so department heads can randomly check someone if they feel like
probable cause.
Probable cause.
Mm-hmm.
You are subject to a random test. Could I do that?
I think if you've got probable cause, you can.
I'm not sure
suspicion.
I like reasonable suspicion.
Reasonable suspicion.
It's a lower threshold.
Yeah, reasonable suspicion. That was the word. That's what I was wanting. But I mean, under any reasonable suspicion, I mean, job performance. You come in, your eyes won't dilate. You're stumbling around. You know. I mean, sorry, we're going to test you. You know, but I mean, like I say, I think we just need to get it out on the table and need to get it in black and white and be done with it either way.
I mean, if you're revising everything else, then now is the time to reconsider this. If that's what you're wanting to do.
It's gonna make the DOT, I would say it's gonna make your DOT people brought in more often. Like Billy might get called every quarter, or Fred might get called every quarter, type deal. Because of the numbers, unless those numbers don't change their pool, which way I'm understanding it, it's really not going to change their pool, because the way I understood it previously, everybody was thinking, well, if there was more of us in the pool, Billy, Joe, and Sue wouldn't be getting called all the time.
Unless they got a call a certain percentage.
Well.
And I don't know how that.
Because it's still Billy, Joe, and Sue that gets called all the time.
So.
Because the feds up the percentages of your drug testing and your alcohol testing. God, I can't remember what it is, what your percentages are. It's high.
And I think it needs to be, in my opinion, either all in, or because you could give me a drug test every day of the week, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you're not going to get anything. So, in my opinion, anytime you have the chance to take a test, it's an opportunity to show there's nothing to worry about.
Nothing to hide.
And as it relates to the whole point in random, and we deal with it in the courtroom all the time, is so you don't have any advance notice. So when you walk into the courtroom, today's the day, and that happens all the time in the courtroom. So I get random testing, it's a pain. I had told my staff if I ended up on the random, I was in court, then I need to tell the judge I need time. And I'm gonna take that time. But
most passage schedule take it one time, and some circumstances came up. I think it was when I was chairman. We had things to do, and then finally the guy said, "It doesn't matter anyway. You don't need to take it." So is that random too? Just decide who does and who doesn't need to.
the whole goal is internal consistency, and so everybody's treated
The same.
That is what the goal is. So, as long as that's done, I don't think there's an issue.
Well, I mean, that all goes against my whole, I mean, what I was saying earlier goes against my whole thing. If you're gonna drive a county vehicle, you need to be drug tested.
Yeah.
You need to be on the random, but you are drug tested when you are brought on. And random, and that's something that's always blown my mind. You can pull a driver off the road, do a random UA. It could be hot enough to melt that cup right there, but you don't find out about it until 2 or 3 days later. And he's already crawled back in the truck rolling down the road.
You make sense out of that, because I can.
Yeah. So.
But if you wanna do everybody fair and equal, if they've called me in 3 times in a row and they haven't called Don in, they call me in the 4th time and say, well, wait a minute, there's other people out there who haven't been in there, and I've been in for the last 3 times, so.
But it's supposed to be randomly picked.
It's supposed to be.
That's just part of the risk. I know there at the elevator, we had a man that, probably never had a beer, and he was called up at least twice a year, 7 years old, driving a truck. His name always popped up. But the employees were aware of the random testing, it was never a question, part of the policy.
So how the random nature of that process works is a compliance one issue, because they have the buttons that deal with the lottery. It's intentionally set up that way so that there cannot be what you wanna, I guess, characterize as internal fixing. And I've not been a part of it, I'm not a part of it, but when do you get the information about who's gonna get tested for the random part of it? Is it
The beginning of the quarter, which does not include any kind of an alternate list, because you have that quarter. Right now, when we're at the end of a quarter, you have to complete your list by the end of a quarter, so when you're getting down close, that's when compliance one supplies an alternate list, because they have to be completed within that quarter.
You get a list of the random names the night before they're gonna do the drug testing?
The initial list, no, you get at the beginning of the quarter, but the alternate list doesn't come till, I got it the night before. Because, like I said, when you get down to that quarter and you have to fulfill your quarterly numbers, since right now we are still doing everybody, but even Bobby Gelhaus said that for us to test everybody is not the insurance requirement. We're doing it simply because it's our policy, not because liability-wise we have to test everybody.
I think we used to get our names that was gonna be tested the next morning. We didn't get that until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right. So that, yeah.
So if they would happen to give the drug test on Friday, and Road and Bridge is not working on Fridays, there'd be a whole bunch of randoms to get it then.
Well, we can work with them for scheduling the date, because it has to be at a time that either Kenny or myself will be here, and the compliance one, because like I said, they do several places in the county as well as other places, so they have a schedule that so we have to know when they're coming too. And that's the thing is, we know, but it has to be like, confidentiality, to not let anybody know what the testing date is.
It's a whole part of random.
Right, yeah, I understand that. I just was curious how dates were picked, because if you did that, say, on Friday, then you got a whole bunch of.
Road and bridge that are mandatory on your DOT that
But then you're
needs to
doing
be.
their
I don't, you know, it really doesn't much matter to me which way we go. We just gotta pick a path and go down it. And stick with it.
You know, every time I've been tested, it's always on a Monday. I've
Yeah.
always been here,
Yeah.
or always gonna be here.
Right,
You
and
kinda
if,
gotta
yeah, 'cause
switch
if
it
you're,
around a
yeah, if
little
you're
bit.
not here, then that's when an alternate would
It's
be,
when-
yeah, you're not here and you can't call somebody in on their time off, because if somebody's subject to that, you're on your time off.
They still wanna do testing one morning a week, or one morning a quarter.
Well,
One morning a quarter is the only time they ever come in.
we'll do like a makeup, and it's been for the DOTs.
So sometimes they come on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Right.
Okay. I know when I've been called up, I've always been here. Just, I walk in and get it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's gonna change, then there needs to be a rewrite.
Well, there's nothing in the new policy at all about it.
Well, I mean, that's a,
That policy, the brand new one, I don't think, Christine's got a thing in there on the truck.
I think it's a separate,
Yeah, it's not in
separate
this.
thing that's,
Well, the drug policy until 2017 had its own separate book. It was a separate policy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because we had 3 or 4 different policy books, and that was a separate one, and I will be honest with you, that book right there was one of the biggest wastes of money this county ever did with that firm, because it's been changed so many times since we got it back.
But even the new one, Bob's gonna be changed every 6 months or a year, because
Not
the
like that,
statute changes.
not like that one has been,
Yeah, that's probably, that could be right.
not like that one.
I mean, unfortunately, the law changes every year
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And with this
Legislative branch.
brand new and only being 38 pages, this and here's 150, chances are with changes in statute, changes in policy, that small book may get changed more often, because it ain't gonna cover everything.
So my guess, one of the things
Although
that
that's what I wanna see, is smaller book.
wasn't covered before, if this current policy in section 1619, talks about cutoff levels for illegal drugs. So it has the nanograms, and it didn't have that previously. So if you have, say for instance, methamphetamine, 500 nanograms, that's the cutoff. I don't, if you have methamphetamine in your system, I don't know, in my opinion, it matters what level it is.
If you got it.
You have it in your system. And some states, not Kansas, have, for impaired driving, they have a zero tolerance policy where if you have any illegal substance in your system, that's considered a presumption that you were impaired. Kansas hasn't gone there yet.
Well, they keep legalizing this garbage, it's gonna be here.
So, yeah.
What page you say that was on?
It's on 34.
I thought you said 16.
Yeah, there's a little more, there's a little more in there than what I remember they had in.
1619 is the section.
Page 16 and 19?
No, section 16 dot 19. And in the bold it says testing chart.
Yeah. Okay, all right.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
So, some of your prescription drugs may show up in somebody's system, and we deal with that all the time. You have a valid prescription, now the issue there is, I'll use a Michigan case, for example, someone had a prescription for Soma, which is similar to Ambien, and they ended up being pulled over multiple times, and nothing happened because it was a prescription-only drug. The 5th time they got behind the wheel of a car, they killed a family of 4 because they were taking it and then got behind the wheel of a car and lost control and people died. So you have to regulate prescription-only drugs too, to an extent. And if you are impaired to the point where you can't safely operate a motor vehicle, then
I'm
it's a
sure
problem.
I'm sure it states right there, do not operate motor vehicle after taking this drug.
It does,
Yeah.
and that's one of the
And
things.
they was going against the recommendations, which they should have went to jail the first time.
Sure.
Because they was operating a motor vehicle.
So it's a lot different than if you have methamphetamine in your system, which people readily accept as, yeah, that's a problem.
Well, and I think if you're on any type of, steroid or anything, you should present that information when you're being random checked UA. You should let them know, hey, I am on this, this, and this. If you think it could bust your urine test, well, I look at it, if you don't tell them, it's after the fact. You need to let them know what prescription drugs you're on when you go do a random UA.
I think most people do that, for that.
They should
very
ask,
reason.
they should ask you when you come in, but they don't ask down there.
I think they changed it where now if there's something that comes up in your sample, they will call that person specifically and say, this is what showed up. So I don't think you give them your list ahead of time anymore. They'll contact you if something shows up and see if you have a prescription that.
I like telling them because then that way there's no question. They can document it if they want to.
I'm not too sure they haven't asked me when I came in, you know, if I'm taking any medicine.
I don't think they've asked me.
Huh?
They have not
I
asked
think
me.
they have me, but I'm not gonna say for sure.
You look old and I think you're
Yeah.
just naturally taking a guess.
You're catching up with me every day, Bob.
So, I guess, what direction do we go, gentlemen? I'm fine either way. Do I wanna pick something and I wanna stick with it?
You might think about it. Tom's gonna be back next week. I mean, it will take a rewrite of, or pulling parts out of what's there right now. If you're gonna change it, if you're not gonna change it, then you have to figure out mechanically how you're gonna move forward with that. And, Bob and Angie probably know the background on this part of it too. The sheriff's department was in charge of it for however many years, and it just happened to be that it was, Tom Johnson, so he's got a lot of information on it. And then when Tom left, I think the duties and responsibilities then were assigned to, the backup was Donna Vermund at the time, and then I think you took it from Donna, Andrea, if I remember right.
Well, and I was trying to ask Kenny the history on that, and was it always, you said it was always under the commission's assistance, was that, when it was always, there was a second person, whether it was Tom or whether it was Ken Roney at one time before it was Kenny, now it was Ken.
Well, I know the history if you want to hear.
Yeah.
Originally, when I first started here, it was under the payroll clerk, under the county clerk's office. And then the commissioner's administrative assistant at that time, which would have been Mary Bloomer, she took it over, just basically took it from Carolyn, because Carolyn didn't like doing it. So she let her have it, and Vernon didn't argue, he just let it go. So then she was over it. Then after she left, then Donna took it over. And then Donna was getting called from home to come in on off hours and on weekends, and so she didn't want to have to do that, so she asked the commission if there could be an alternate. So then they brought on Kenny Roney to help with that, and then I think they, somewhere along the line, brought Tom Johnson on as another alternate, because sometimes Kenny couldn't make it, and Donna couldn't make it, whereas Sheriff's Office was always here, you know. So that's how they ended up bringing them in, so then they made it a 3-committee type thing, so.
It was old Kenny Roney. That Kenny's dad,
No,
wasn't it?
no.
Wasn't he?
Young Kenny's always been on it.
Old Kenny was on it when I came here.
Was he before Tom then, maybe?
I think that was the
Maybe.
timeline.
Yeah, he was
Maybe it
before
was
Tom.
him and then Kenny Roney Jr. and Tom. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But that's how it has always been, so.
So I guess, So my question is, why so many people?
Why so many people are on the committee, or?
Well, is it a committee? I mean,
I don't,
It's, right, yeah, it's just Kenny and myself right now, because if there's like a post-accident and somebody needs the paperwork and the kit and everything for a post-accident, like if Kenny is off and he's the only person who has access to that, you need a backup, so that one of the two is gonna be available to provide the kit that they then do take to the Coffee County Hospital with them.
You're talking about the people's in charge of it, or the number of people's called up?
People in charge of it.
Yeah, so there's
Okay.
only two, just for that reason, for a
I
backup.
mean, in the county shop, there should be a basket or a file that is post-accident. Anybody in the secretary side of the county office down there, if there's an accident, should know where that file's at and can grab that file and give it to the individual to go do a post-accident drug screen.
I think.
The requirements.
I
was
think
there-
one of the supervisors always goes with that person to do that test.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, I mean,
Well, I've met with them down there because it has to be somebody with a representative, in our case, through county or compliance one. Kenny and I complete the training that they have, so we are the designated county representatives, we are the only ones to be accessed, so that just for that reason, so that if somebody takes the kit with them, something's done with their sample, they don't say, well, hey, who had access to this cup before I got it, or, I mean, there has to be some security, so we are the only two representatives of Coffee County for compliance one. We maintain the kit, as they say, which includes the cup, the shipping label, so if anything goes wrong with it, it was only the two of us that had the paperwork, the cup.
What happens when you and Kenny are both on vacation?
That hasn't happened yet, but we would have to kind of coordinate that, so that, yeah, somebody
Call the
would be
monkeys.
available.
call the monkeys.
I guess, I mean, you can't restrict somebody's vacations because something could happen.
I don't know, I think there
I
could
don't
be
know,
changes.
maybe you get a representative from compliance one to describe their process, what it looks like on their end.
I
Because
would like to have
the-
that.
they're a whole key component of what happened behind the scenes, what their random selection is, how that works, and what they do when they come here and why. And what you're talking about relates to the chain of custody, just in case somebody wants to challenge a positive finding, I guess it would be.
Like I said, there are several county agencies that use compliance once, and it could be interesting if you wanted somebody to come in and say that, because there are several places throughout the county that use this company.
I would like to have somebody from Compliance One come in.
Well, we've used them as long as, I think it changed, several years ago, yeah, and we've never had any issues with people coming to the test.
It sounded like they were trying to reevaluate the whole thing and make the right decision for the new policy. I have no problem with Compliance One, or whoever else can provide that service coming in. It's like we listened to 3 different presentations this morning. I'd have no problem with listening to maybe 1 or 2 presentations.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Don, I just don't like how they send out the alternate list sometime after they've already generated the main pool list. I think the alternate list should be provided at the very beginning, when they send you the list of the randoms. I don't like how I know mine's not that way. It all comes on one sheet, right there, done.
I'm surprised they send it out early.
Yeah.
If it's truly random, it would be sent out 24 hours ahead of time. So that
You've got the quarter to get your drug screens done.
Sure.
So they don't send it out they don't send it out July 1st. If they send it out July 1st every time, or the first day after the starting the new quarter, that's not being anything random. So that's within the first 2 weeks of the new quarter, they'll send out the random list. Well, and then what she said just a little bit ago, that Tuesday night, you got the...
Well, in this case, because Kenny was out sooner than expectedly, and I didn't have that list, so since it was gonna be possibly just me being the only ones here, I needed all the information, so when it's just me here, and we're at the end of our quarter, so that's one of those unexpected times where, yeah, it's the two of us, and it did come down to just me being here that day.
So compliance one sent you the night before,
Yes.
the random,
Right. Well, it is a
alternate
computer generated list from them.
right.
Do you have to request the random list, or do they send it automatically?
They send that automatically.
So the
And it's just part of it kicks it out according to the date, they send it to the representatives from each agency that they work with.
I'd probably prefer to send the original list out just the day before. I think that's the way it was where I was at there at the co-op. The day before, and then we caught up to the employees that morning. I don't think we had an alternate list, but I don't recall whether we was with compliance or someone else. I don't remember the business or the firm we was with.
I think the alternate is something new that has come out.
I don't recall that being there 20 years ago.
Yeah. I guarantee it wasn't, because I didn't have it 20 years ago, but,
Our random testing, we had 26 employees, give or take some. Our random testing always called up 3 or 4, but we didn't know the names until that afternoon. Now, I bet you, if that's the way we decide to go, if we go that direction, I bet they can provide that list the day before too.
Right, yeah, and it's been, like I said, we haven't had an issue all the time up until now,
Yeah.
but.
So get compliance one here, and then potentially consider a revision to the current policy if that's what you want.
Where's our base office out of?
Topeka. What do you want them to present when they come, just an overview of?
What their process is, what they do, why they do it, how they, what their, I mean, they have some sort of computer generated list, what that looks like, how they put that data into their software system, and then do they click a button and all the names automatically populate and generate, and then the same thing with their alternates, with their, why they send that list out, the initial list ahead of time, why they wait until the night before for the alternate list. Is there a correlation between the two? Is that the same thing they do for every client? I mean, it's sort of those things. My guess is that you're asking.
well, my thing is, why is the alternate list not on the alternate and the random poll not on the same piece of paper?
That's a good question for them.
I mean, because if you got Billy up here, that's drug and alcohol, and you've got Frank here that's just alcohol. Frank's not here, but you got George down here that's an alternate for an alcohol test, so he's gonna go out and take this individual's place for just alcohol only, and then Susie down here is a drug test. So your next person can't make it for the drug, so Susie is the drug alternate for the drug or for the drug screen.
I'd almost bet you they've got a different procedure if you'd want a different procedure. But that's just an assumption too.
I didn't even realize we were doing separate. I thought everything was always drug and alcohol. I didn't realize that there was doing 2 different tests.
We don't have anyone that does just alcohol, some are just drugs, some do drug and alcohol.
But there's certain percentage you have to meet drug and alcohol.
But the test that we take, it's both, right?
Yeah, I blew in urine. Some people just might blow into the alcohol deal.
Well, in our case, it's just drug, yeah, but like I said, we don't have anyone that gets pulled up just for alcohol. There's drug and alcohol are just drugs.
And like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if they don't have different
You know,
procedures.
the first time that I took it, I just did the drug. Second time, I got pulled for both. I had to
You
blow.
blew in the machine
Yeah.
and beat the bottle.
Yeah.
So that's drug and alcohol.
Yeah,
So there's certain percentages that it has to meet
yeah.
for both.
So how long has compliance one been the provider for Coffee County?
It changed several years ago, it used to be like THNC.
Yeah, that was the name prior to, and then they changed the name to Compliance One.
So they just changed their corporate name? So the question would be,
why did they do that?
the current practice, is that the practice that they're following in for every client? Or is it just Coffee County? If they're doing it for every client, then, I mean, is that a best practices issue across the board for that industry? I mean, these are all questions we're talking about something right now where compliance one representatives are the ones who can answer those questions, not. And then you have to figure out here if what they're doing is what you want to continue moving forward with.
Well, I can tell you they don't know nothing about, the clearinghouse. FMCSA clearinghouse, because I'm a CDL holder, and I'm registered in the FMCSA clearinghouse, same as you. If I go in for a drug screen anywhere, you have to use your driver's license number instead of your social security number, because I could bust the drug screen here, and if they're not reporting it to the clearinghouse, then every time my drug screen has got to go to the clearinghouse. That's just the way it is. That's federal law. That way, if I happen to bust it here, my employer's going to know that I busted one.
Right.
And if they don't report it and the person busts it, that's breaking federal law.
So, another question for them, because
we
need to have them come in.
Yes, we definitely need to have them come in.
Give us what's totally
Who's calling in?
available.
You calling in?
I can call.
You calling?
Find what's available and the different options, and
Sooner the better. We might want to find somebody else to do this. Totally.
do we have a contract that's been signed, do you know?
Well, I'm not sure, when Kenny and I, we were looking at it initially, 'cause that's why I had asked, do we want to even continue doing this? Do we want to look for other options, because it's expensive, and that just never went anywhere, but yeah, I don't know how many other options there are, because like I said, they are the ones who do most of the agencies around here, and I think for a reason, because there aren't a lot of companies, but I can look around and see what the other options are.
Well, they're probably the only company that'll come to your door and do it. A lot of them won't do that. And I think I ain't too sure if I didn't hire this company 10 or 15 years ago. Because they wouldn't wait 5 minutes for one of my drivers to get in. And I told them, no, I'm paying you to do this. And they said, sorry, we've hit our allotted time, you're back. I said, you won't be back.
We haven't had that issue. In fact, we've waited for them when they were at another Coffee County agency because they were waiting on somebody, so we've waited because they were waiting.
So, I guess those are just questions we can ask them when they have a representative show up.
Is that?
You have more?
No, but if we're on policies, I want to look at the one right above it, tobacco use. Because I see Christina has changed that, prohibit the use of tobacco in any form throughout all of Coffee County offices. So,
where is that?
it's right, it's on page 34, right above drug and alcohol use. So are we saying if you don't work in an office, you can chew tobacco, do what you want? We discussed this pretty good when we did this tobacco. It was a pretty big deal when we took this county smoke-free, because we decided then at the time that if the snuff and the tobacco plug or chewers wanted it, they really weren't hurting anybody but themselves, as long as they didn't spit on the floors and stuff. But now I see that it says that all of Coffee County offices. So are we just picking on the people who work in offices? Or are we making this, as if the road grader man's out there chewing tobacco, we didn't really care, because he wasn't, our concern was smoking in vehicles and smoking in the buildings and stuff was our concern, the smoking. Secondhand smoke is not good for you, but unless they're spitting on you, tobacco chewers is not hurting anyone but themselves. So I kind of have a problem with that one.
the way it's worded.
The way it's worded, yeah.
You're the policymaker, so you get to wordsmith it however you want.
Well, then you goes back to the same thing we're just talking about on drugs. The form of all Coffee County offices, if you're gonna make it mandatory for some, then you need to make it mandatory for everybody in the county, all the county employees, one way or another. But I am totally against tobacco use myself, I don't care, I don't do it, but we have some employees that have been chewing for years and their pockets indicate it, but they haven't hurt anybody but themselves. And
I would say she brought this in just to tobacco use only because it was probably discriminating from the smokers to the chewers. The way it looks like here in the green. From original smoking policy. And update with HR partner language.
but you can't just have offices in.
Could just leave the word offices out of it.
Gotta be all Coffee County employees.
That way it
Well,
includes
it
all
says
employees.
office within 50 feet.
Within 50 feet. Just take the word office out of it.
Office and within.
Coffee County buildings within 50 feet. Well, it says within 50, maybe it should, you know. And then, something else always aggravated me, we made designated areas. We told people who didn't want smoking, then we go out and spend money and make designated areas for them to go out and smoke in, on county property.
Yeah.
So I think that one needs to be have a look taken at it to see, because I don't like the way that it is. I don't like the way that it's worded.
Did you already send our stuff up to Christina, that we
The what?
just?
Oh, I just sent her, what you guys talked about last week, and
Right.
she responded back, that she had visited with KAC and what their stance was on it. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. So she had sent a message to Jay Hall.
J. Hall.
Yeah.
J. Hall.
And he said, as you know, counties are somewhat complex with regards to any personnel policy, including drug testing. Departments led by elected officials, sheriff, register, deeds clerk, treasurer, can choose whether or not to be subject to that general policy. For other departments, road and bridge, parks and rec, etc., the commissioners can set the requirements. Many counties only drug test individuals that are in positions where drug use would create liability for the county. There is no requirement that a county drug test all county employees, but there is not a prohibition either. And he said, please let me know if you have any questions. And she was just, because you guys were questioning it last week, so I sent that to ask her, so. And she responded to all three of us, so.
Well, I know she's coming down next week, is she not?
October 24th.
Oh, that's right,
She had to cancel it.
Because by that time, we better have this thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying, if we
We
send
need that
this,
pretty well put together by the time she gets here.
when we went through it last week and put the words in, we needed to put
Yeah,
the words
I
in,
did
you
send
sent
all that
all
to her,
that,
yeah.
so she could update
Yep.
all that. I suppose we better send her something about the tobacco use, figure something out to get sent to her. So do we wanna strike Coffee County offices?
Well, I don't know, I think there's gotta be a better way to word that. Yes, you can't, it says all, throughout all Coffee County offices within 50 feet of a county building, common within, inside county vehicles.
No smoking.
And then it says, employees may use tobacco products outside in the designated areas during approved breaks.
We used to have a designated area at the sheriff's department.
They still do.
Still do.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's 50 feet out either, but.
It's not, but it's the designated area.
You might convey what we've been talking about to Christina and see if she could design a different way to write it.
Okay.
If you wanna get it
That'd
down.
be my thought, and let,
Just put the long and the short of it, don't want smoking in vehicles,
Right.
Right.
And that-
or in the
that's-
building.
that was our intent.
Just put long and short, don't want smoking inside the vehicles or equipment or buildings.
No. Because if you really want to enforce it, if an employee parks on the north side of the parking lot here and smoking a cigarette and walks up to the door and puts it out in the deal, as soon as they get out of their car, they'll say 50 feet
Yeah,
in the
they're in
building.
violation.
Yes, right. I mean, so that's not a biggie, but the whole intent of that was when we did it, because, I mean, I guarantee it wasn't an easy decision, and we talked about it for a long time, was no smoking in vehicles, because we had some county vehicles that, if you were a non-smoker especially, you did not want to get in them in the summertime, because they were rank.
Or equipment.
Or equipment. And now, the exceptions to that was the sheriff's department, because that deputy lives in that
In that
vehicle.
car. They don't swap vehicles.
Yeah, they don't swap, yeah, and at the time, the sheriff that we had at the time says if they do swap vehicles, if you're a smoker and you're using my vehicle, cause yours is down, you cannot smoke in my vehicle.
Mhm.
And if I'm using yours, I do not have to take yours if you are a smoker. I mean, the sheriff was willing to work with us on that, so. I don't think the intent was to totally do away with, if you wanted to chew, that was your right.
your choice.
Cause you're not really hurting anyone other than yourself and maybe your family, but.
I would say it'd probably be anything outside of the sheriff's office. This would apply. Plug it tighter to.
Probably
Cigarettes.
somewhere vaping probably needs to be involved in this too.
It can be just as nasty as smoke.
But I don't think we have a policy on vaping. I think it's new enough that we don't have anything on it yet. But I think it should come
A
under.
person could put no vaping inside the building.
It could come in the same.
There's a lot of restaurants that's doing that nowadays.
It could be actually, it could be the same as the smoking policy,
Mhm.
vaping or smoking.
Inside county buildings.
But I heard.
Or vehicles.
'Cause it's more of a nuisance than it is anything. Okay, anything else for us, Wade?
After that conversation about the drug testing policy and procedure, my next request is I'd say 20 to 30-minute executive session, non-elected personnel, myself, administrative assistant, and Bobby Skipper.
You said 20-minute or 30?
I said 20, but usually when I say 20, it probably means 30.
Yeah, also
I'd say
said
30.
Did you move?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. I didn't know what you said.
Tim's moved on second for a 30-minute executive session with, the commission, county counselor, administrative assistant, and Bobby Skipper. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll go in at 2:26.
Yep.
I wasn't even in here, I was in there, I just came back in.
Closer all,
Yeah.
closer all the time. All right, we're back. We're going to, I'll move that we enter another 30-minute executive session on previous.
I'll second. Same as last.
Same
as last.
I'll say.
Same people.
Yeah.
Same as last, yeah.
They're down there.
Can I have a quick stop?
Yes. I moved, Bob seconded, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We will go in at 3:01.
When my time is up, I am going to, whether you got me here in a meeting or not.
Mark, you wanna run home and, feed my cows?
Oh,
I might have to go home and feed my cat.
I have to go to,
And my
I gotta
chicken.
be at Iola.
You got.
Printing place? I came in the wrong door.
Give me back.
Well, no bad.
Alright, we're back, no action taken. Roundtable real quick.
I'll wait till next week.
Okay. Tim, roundtable,
Next year week.
next week. Bob?
I'm still making that list, but I've not got long.
Bragger. Dawn?
Circus deal all coming together for this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday?
Yes, sir.
Are you getting the expectation you thought you'd get? And I'm sure you have an idea what your goal is gonna be. Do you think you're gonna achieve that?
Yes, sir, with the circus, absolutely.
When are the school kids going?
The Burlington's going Friday is a field trip. Some of the Leroy kids and, Waverly and Lebo kids are going Thursday and Friday as well.
They're taking two different groups.
Right.
Each day, probably.
And
Now-
they set up to hold, what, 500?
500 per show.
Now, how is, I think I asked this at the very beginning, how is homeschool kids going to get in?
We will ask that question if they are a kid who's obviously school
No.
age and they show up at the gate and they're wanting to buy a ticket. We'll ask them, do you go to school here in Coffee County? And if they say, if they're homeschool or whatever, we'll let them in.
But the schools are busing their kids
Yes, sir.
too, so they will be in as a school group.
Yes, sir.
And this is from K to 12, right?
Not K to 12, at least with Burlington. Burlington, because they're paying a big chunk of the cost, elected only to buy tickets for their elementary and middle school.
K to 8, 10.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hope for success.
Sure.
Don, do you have any roundtable? That was it? Or did
That
you?
was Dawn's.
That was Dawn's? I don't have any roundtable. You got any roundtable? Okay, we're gonna sign some paperwork and.
I did have a note from Angie, Dawn had asked her a question on the COVID pay. She said that the last COVID pay ended on April 29th. That was the last, there was an employee that was receiving it.
I guess I forgot I'd even ask that question, and right now I don't even remember, Brad.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. But anyway, it was April 29th was the last.
If I remember right, we quit this February the 1st or something. And
I don't remember, I think that person was already out.
that person came in just a day or two before we decided we would do no more.
I think they'd already been tested and they was waiting for the results. I have a, introduction and invitation to submit qualifying proposals from, for the, Coffee County Law Enforcement. This is what the gentleman was up here last week, talking about the bidding of, construction management that I'm here, that I need to sign and needs to be gotten to Sydney as soon as possible online with Goldberg office. So I guess I need a motion to authorize direct the chairman to sign introduction and invitation to submit qualifying proposals for a construction manager.
Did you not approve that subject to the changes?
Well, but this is a signature page.
Okay.
Is that where they were going to select 3 different constructions? I need to call there and get some.
I visited with him.
And I
the other day.
overlooked cost.
I asked him that question the other day on the way to Topeka. I called him at noon. And this would be like J.E. Dunn or somebody like that is going to be making sure that this group is here on time. This group, they're going to be the general
contractor.
the general, management, construction management is what they're gonna be here. They're gonna be over the whole site, getting bricklayers in, roofing people.
Is that the one Larry said would amount to 4% of the project?
That, yes, and that is
That's
figured
4%.
in. That's figured in.
But yet we're gonna be interviewing for the one that we retain. That's what Kurt said.
Yes, we will do-
entertain 2 or 3 or 4.
We will go down to 3, or we'll get probably went down to 3 and choose.
But that's over and above Larry's engineering.
That's over and above Larry's.
That's what I
engineering.
gathered from
And it's
Larry
also-
that mentioned here 6 weeks ago, but I couldn't follow Kurt.
And it's also figured into the proposal of funding.
He said, that was mentioned by Larry here 3 or 4 weeks
So
ago.
all this is authorization for him to gather these people for us to interview.
And then we could still retain a project engineer to be our site over them.
That would be over and above
Yeah.
the cost.
Okay.
Project manager for
That-
us.
County project,
And
overseer.
Yes,
And
project
you're-
manager for Coffee County.
And to me, you're covering the kind of the question I had. I was gonna call Larry flat for
Yeah, I called him the other day, and so I visited.
At least they're giving us the option to retain the one that we wanna retain
Right.
to oversee the operation.
Right.
And he did say that that was 3.5 to 4% and already built into the,
Yes, into the.
cost.
So, motion to authorize director chairman to sign the qualifying proposal agreement with Goldberg, I
I don't
guess.
know how you wanna write that up, Brad, but I'd so move, cause it's, I understand where they're coming.
At-risk construction management for the new Coffee County Law Enforcement Center. Request for qualifications.
So I thought you had already approved it, so.
That was Angie's impression, is that you had already approved it and we were just executing it.
I think we did.
So then I don't, but now I don't need a motion to
No.
sign it.
Because all,
Technically, when we approved it for Larry, we almost approved this in a roundabout way.
well, that was the same thing. It
That
had-
was it.
It had dates and names that needed to be changed, so it
Yeah.
had 3 PM, and it changed to 5 PM, it had going to the county commission, it needed to go to Angie, and those were the corrections, as I recall.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we have an email in there that I can scan and respond that to. They also want us to get that on the county website. I don't know, is that something Andrea can do, or Rhonda, or?
For the county website, Rhonda I can get with her.
Yeah, I know it needs to go to Sydney Goldberg as soon as possible.
Yeah, I will scan that and email it to them, but his direction was he needed it on the website today.
Can we discuss it too about the church?
If we could put it on the election page.
Here or not?
I know what you're talking about.
I know you don't. Well,
He
you do?
does.
Oh,
Do
we need
Do we need to discuss?
clarify anything on that?
So, the issue is brought to my attention, I think several people's attention, that there were things being, hauled out of the church. Is that a fair estimate?
Yeah, yes.
Or a fair way to say that?
We'll run back. Bob called me. Bob was out of town. Bob called me. I was in Kansas City. I was out of town. So I called Wade. And so now Wade can go into.
So, I knew nothing about it, and I was getting ready to go to lunch. On my way to lunch, I saw some people over there, so I just walked in and said, hey, what's going on? The individuals who were there indicated that the, person who has the bid to demolish the building said, you go in and, salvage these things. But I don't care what you do, but if you're taking anything, you need to make a list and send it to whoever this individual is, so the county can be put on notice so that you can go through the disposal of property process. So they're gonna take pictures, put it on a list, and it'll show up here at some point.
Are they selling this stuff?
I have no idea.
If they're selling it, it's county property, is the money coming back to the county?
I don't know what they're doing with it. I mean,
So maybe we ought to be finding out, right?
Well, it was in there that you could salvage,
Yeah.
but you had to go through the process. So that we was in hope that that would reflect a cheaper bid price.
Okay.
And so,
I don't think we were recovering funds from it.
but we wasn't recovering
Okay,
any funds. We was hoping to come off the overall.
But we have to deem that that is no longer value to the
Right.
county.
Right. And that's the part that Wade was discussing with the individuals.
that's the fine print.
So does that mean that if, because I've been asked this question, somebody wants something, all they gotta go do is go to the demolish contractor and say, can I get this, and he can take it, as long as he makes a list of it, brings it to us?
As long as they follow the process.
Okay. That's all.
Because right now, they could move a bulldozer out there and knock the whole thing down.
Exactly.
He has overall power of it.
Well, no, he doesn't, it's still ours.
Well, he's
He's
over the contract of the.
Probably got more authority over what we do, right?
Yes. And if he wants to sell the
That's
stuff
his-
out of it, he could.
That may have been a reason if there was some difference in the.
Well, we contracted them to tear it down, not to,
So
so.
people, I mean, that's what's in the policy, that it has to go through the disposition of property process.
Okay, but a very simple question. If somebody wants something, I can say, you go talk to the contractor, and if he says you can have it, you can have it. But then it's up to the contractor to make a list to give to show us, so we can dispose of it, correctly? Okay.
That's what the RFP says.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Still has to come through the commission.
We have to deem it no value to the county.
No value to the county. Okay, that's all I needed to know, because I've had people asking me about that, and I said, I don't really know. What is this? Because if it doesn't go to landfill, then he has to tell us why.
On these vouchers, Bobby, I know you're working hard on that circus deal. There's a voucher of $2,950 for a band of some type.
So the Arts Council gave me $4,000 to hire a band, and the bank gave me $1,000 to buy food to have an event on Thursday night. So I
Are they gonna be performing inside the tent, or?
No, sir. I hired a band from New Orleans, the Zydeco band, coming up on Thursday night at 7 o'clock, and we'll also have a shrimp boil. And I've invited everybody I've seen over the last 5 days.
They'd be performing there in front of the grandstand?
By the gazebo.
I'm sorry?
By the gazebo.
Oh, by the gazebo?
Yes, sir.
There in the north part?
So is that basically open to the public?
Yes, sir. Free to anybody. Eat all the shrimp that you can eat.
You got anything to wash it down with?
That's middle school football every night, and that's Kansas City football.
That means there's gonna be a lot of shrimp for Jesse to eat.
Be a lot for Bob to eat. Middle school football's always Thursday night.
I got a ball game Thursday night.
I think I've got Thursday night open.
I got a middle school football.
I got middle school in Melbourne that night. I got every place to go to.
Who's cooking the shrimp? Yours truly?
Yes, sir. I've got 2 or 3. I'm gonna show them how to do it. That's the fun part about shrimp boils.
You got the big ones where you just dump them in and you can roll them out into the cooler?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It'll be ready at 5 o'clock, so I can go on to Melbourne.
Be ready at 7.
Okay, start at 6:30.
You're gonna be late. I'll tell you how they work.
I might even stay home. Here's another on gold. This is on production of, I don't mean to be questioned, I'm just asking. Production of Fall Festival Rodeo, 4,800.
Yes, sir.
That's what it took to get the rodeo firm in?
Yes, sir.
Sound like a bunch of bull to me.
I'd like to see Bobby on one of them.
I've been on one before.
I think we can pay enough, maybe. We can go
It
take
ain't
up
gonna happen no
collectors.
more.
I'd pay to watch that, Bob.
Huh?
I'd pay to watch
Ain't
that.
We'll
gonna
put him in
happen
the
again.
barrel
No.
out in the middle of the arena.
Yeah.
When I was 17 or 18, we had donkey softball deal in. And whenever that guy blowed a whistle or he made a certain sound or whatever, those donkeys would hit. I hit that field as hard as you could ever hit it on your head. My head's the only thing that hit the ground. It took a while to wake up.
Oh.
I won't,
That's your problem.
that's my problem, Bob.
Oh, I don't think they do donkey ball games. They used to.
That's been 50 years
Basketball, a lot
ago.
of donkey basketball.
I don't think they do that stuff.
We had donkey basketball, put shoes on her, or put something on her feet to tear the basketball court up.
I think we need to sign Bob up for the bowl volleyball.
Here's one for the barbecue contest. It
You
cost that
watched
much to get the barbecue deal in?
They let 3 or 4 bowls out in the
Yes, sir.
arena,
5,750.
and you go inside of a volleyball,
Well, that's probably, that's probably that and
giant
award.
air up one.
Is that award? Do they handle the awards?
Yeah, that's
It
award
drove
money.
you.
That's award money?
Yeah.
I haven't.
You know what they're cooking? You know what the contest is?
Yes, sir. It's chicken and ribs. Yes, make sure you're out there during the barbecue if you want some barbecue. They will have plenty of barbecue.
And which day's that, Saturday?
Saturday. Yes, sir.
Maybe I need to bring an old trailer down here and do some chicken and ribs.
We need some more teams.
Balance of
It is an
the
amateur event.
contract.
You might win.
All the gate receipt at the circus, we keep it, correct?
It goes back in our pocket, yes, sir.
Because you got cash here that's being drawn out,
Yes, sir.
and that cash will actually be returned, you just got,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. These are just the groceries.
Angie, we got the 8 months, which is 2/3 of a year. I haven't looked through all the departments under budget, or at least not above the budget.
Right.
The 66%.
Mhm. Yeah, I haven't motioned that over yet.
None of them's above our budget.
That's good.
I'm sorry.
That's good.
You're saying you can look at these, but when you get done, just throw them back over here and I'll look at them because I enjoy reading them.
Alright.
West Coast shipping. This started to finally get unloaded. But
West Coast shipping.
East Coast is not. It's still congestion. They all come in.
I don't think I'm gonna take the time to.
Your store time's getting shorter all the time, Tim.
I'm gonna have to get out of here and tell.
And you don't have anything for us on round
I
table
don't.
other than what Brad gave us?
Yep, that was all I had, so I'll, check with with Christina and get questions to ask those companies and then have something next week to
Good.
report back.
Nobody has anything else, we'll adjourn this meeting at 3:51.
Guys, have a good week.
Drive the speed limit, Tim.
Tim and her.